Welcome to the December 14th, 2023 Planning Board meeting, the last of 2023. Can you roll call, right?
If I'm not choking, Chair LaFaro.
Present.
Vice Chair Finnerty.
Present.
The Secretary is here. Board Member Mutu.
Present.
Board Member Neely.
Present.
Board Member Catalinato, I guess, is going to be late, and Board Member Fulham is out today. We have a quorum.
Great. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Board Member Catalinato just came.
Kate's not here,
Here
so.
you are, Craig.
Hey, Craig's in the house.
Welcome.
Hey.
Okay, so our first, oh, no, any minutes, Gloria?
Yes, November 9 and November 16.
November 9 and 16, motion? Motion by Dennis, second by George,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent for the minutes. So we're going to look at the planning board meeting dates for 2024. Do we have a document here?
It was in the packet. It was in the packet, but I have.
Do we have a packet?
Packet.
No, we just have the agenda.
We just, yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, any questions on the agenda? Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I just want to point out that we have no evening session on November 21st, which is typical around the holiday.
Oh, so no, yeah, no PM
Yeah.
meeting, yeah.
There's
Okay.
one a month in November and December, yeah.
Okay, do we have to vote on this, Claire?
Yes, you do.
Yeah, so
You
a
said
motion
it.
to adopt the calendar for 2024. Motion by
Motion.
George, second by
Second.
Tom, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent. Okay. So we're gonna move on to the referrals, Claire.
The first one, Kara Back is here for.
Great, Kara, come.
Community Housing Fund Project Plan.
These are all pieces of legislation that are pending in front of the town board now
Currently,
for
yeah.
their 21st meeting, or?
It's on the 21st.
This is on
right?
the 21st.
Okay, so there's
Public
a
hearing.
little squeeze here,
Yeah.
right?
So, good afternoon, and thank you for allowing me to present this plan to you. Parts of this Community Housing Fund plan before you today will be used as an addendum to the town's housing plan that was created by VHB in 2022 and adopted by the town board on October 25th, 2022. The 2022 housing plan was prepared prior to the establishment of the Community Housing Fund tax and the Community Housing Fund Advisory Board. The addendum was prepared after the Community Housing Fund Advisory Board was formed, and it is intended to provide the mission statement of the Community Housing Fund Advisory Board, as well as its role and the board's operating procedures. In addition, the addendum lists eligible funding programs designed to make housing more affordable and accessible in the town. The town's housing department researched housing programs that are eligible under the law and those affordable housing programs that are working in other resort communities across the country. Members of the CHF Advisory Board prepared a year-end report that aims to evaluate the requirements, challenges, and opportunities within the town's hamlet communities. This work product of the Advisory Board included as page 7 through 45 in the document before you, but it will not be submitted as an amendment to the town's housing plan. Rather, it will be used by the advisory board when making recommendations for the allocation of CHF financial support to the eligible funding programs. It is expected that the advisory board will make updates at the end of each year. The Housing Department created a variety of programs that can be funded under the CHF. Most of these programs do not create new density, but rather use existing home stock and make it more affordable. So drawing your attention to page 46 through 51 of the document before you, I'd like to introduce some of the programs that have developed for the CHF funding.
There's
We don't have them.
Okay, so you have okay, you don't have the ones that were sent to you? All right,
No,
Okay.
no, this is the first time I've seen this.
Okay, let's go through the one then that's before you. The pages will have changed. So you're gonna look at pages, seven. The funding programs start on page 7.
Sitting here.
We don't have copies? You got
So there are 4 programs for first-time homebuyers. There's a down payment assistance program. CHF will loan a first-time homebuyer part of the down payment needed to purchase a home. There are no monthly payments, and the loan is paid at 0% interest when the buyer sells or refinances the home. There's a shared equity program. CHF will pay a percentage of the cost of the home and then shares in the appreciation of the home's value when the home is sold or refinanced. There's a remodel program where CHF loans a first-time homebuyer the money needed to make necessary repairs to an old dilapidated or foreclosed property to make the home livable. And there's an employer-assisted down payment program. CHF will work with employers who offer a down payment assistance program to their first-time homebuyer employees. And it include a match programs, interest rate buy-downs, deferred and repayment loans. There is an affordable easement program which will assist developers who want to build new affordable housing. There are 3 programs in the plan that will assist in creating affordable rentals. There's an accessory apartment program where CHF funds can be used by an existing homeowner to create an accessory apartment in their home for extra income or to house a family member. There's a motel conversion program where CHF funds can provide low-interest loans to assist in the rehabilitation of old motels for the town's seasonal and year-round workforce. There's an adaptive reuse program. CHF funds can be used to convert non-residential commercial property into affordable rental housing. There's also a program where CHF funding can be used for direct mortgage assistance to the town's volunteer essential workers in order to make their home more affordable. There is a CHF funding program to assist the town's workforce, seniors and disabled, to be able to live in the town. So I thank you for your consideration of this addendum to the town's housing plan, and if you have any questions, I'm available to answer.
Kara, I do. I mean, this is all new to us. I don't think we had this too much in advance, if at all. What of the elements do you think pertain to the planning board specifically?
So specifically, this will be an update to the town's housing plan, which is part of the comprehensive plan, and that's why it's really before you. But with regard to this is really going to be a document for the CHF advisory board to be able to use. It will outline the programs that are available with the CHF funding. These are programs that are eligible under the law. And it also kind of gives them guidance as to what their role is, what their procedures are to be with regard to when an application for funding is submitted to the housing department, how they consider it, and then how they make their recommendations to the town board.
So when you say under the law, you mean New York State law?
Yeah, so under the CHF law and Town Law 140.
So are any of the programs eventually going to have to come before the town board, the planning board for approval? So for example, you talk about converting commercial real estate into affordable apartments. Is that going to have
Sure,
have to come before
that
you?
could come before the planning board. If there is a developer that is looking for funding to develop new housing, that would come before the planning board as well. But most of these programs will not come before the planning board. First-time homebuyer down payment assistance, the accessory apartment funding, things like that, because most of these programs do not create new density.
What about the affordable easements if developers, I mean, will that come before this board?
Yeah, so I think that's what you were referring to, yes, so that is probably one of the programs that could, if we have a developer who wants to develop new housing, one of the programs that we're offering is to give funding for an affordable easement, so that, to keep that, those homes affordable, the town would buy an easement from the developer. And that easement would remain on the property, so those homes would remain affordable, and the people that would be qualified for them would be, would have to require, there would be required an income qualification for them,
And that's in perpetuity?
yes,
I would think motel conversion would also come before
Yes.
us.
yes,
Because it does now if it goes from motel like to condo or co-op.
yes, yep, for sure.
Do we have enough flexibility within zoning to accommodate most or all of these things without, rewriting legislation or changing code?
Yeah, so some of these projects may require a change in zone, and it's something that if the town board, feels that it's necessary, we could certainly do more with some changes to the zoning code.
But that would be at the town board
That's the town,
decision level, not us.
correct.
But we would get a referral on that as well.
Yes. Any changes to the zone, yep.
Okay. All right.
I'm
Sorry,
sorry,
George.
any of this, so we're talking here about possibly, I guess it comes back to a question we've asked when we looked at housing plan before, but location of some of these proposed affordable, and how to spread across the town. And it comes back to, availability of land, purchase price of land. How are we going to ensure that, we don't end up pushing a lot of this type of development, which we all agree is needed, towards one section of the town versus the other section?
So the plan does have a requirement in there that one part of the town can't be burdened with the housing, more than another part. So that you can't concentrate affordable housing in one area of the town more than any other. So that's already in the housing plan.
So Kara, I know you and I spoke directly about this. My concern with multifamily especially is the way the pilots are implemented. And I think, town-wide, we need to consider that. We may have affordability in Hamlet A, B, or C, but we need to look at the school district that A, B, and C are connected to. I know in the West, you have, 6 or 7 different hamlets that are connected ultimately to the West Hampton School District. So you may say, oh, there are only, 5 or 6 affordable units here or there, but when you take the cumulative effect and you put it in, in that same school district, and it's by way of pilot, then I start to fear that school district's not gonna be compensated for the actual impact. So I think we really need to focus strongly on, making sure, we discussed it, I want pilot reform. But in the absence of pilot reform, we need to look at the cumulative totals within the school district.
Yeah, so it's important to know that this is a guide for the CHF Advisory Board. The CHF Advisory Board does not make any decisions with regard to the housing. They just make recommendations to the town board. So the town board should, certainly, they're going to be the decision maker, and they have to take into account all of those kind of things when making their decision.
So the advisory will not.
The advisory board, not saying that they won't, it should be something that they consider when making their recommendations, but they're not the decision maker.
So are we making recommendations here on this referral, or this is just to educate us?
This would be a response to the town board,
Okay, well, there's a response. I think Craig's comments.
that concerns
pilot-
with new multifamily
Well,
developments.
yeah, just the cumulative impact on school districts in relation to a pilot.
Yeah,
It-
looking at
yeah,
it across school district rather than just by hamlet.
Correct.
And then George's concern about equitable distribution amongst the east and west in the town. Any other? Tom?
No, I did want to ask you, maybe you could speak about the members and the membership of the advisory board. That's obviously a critical piece in this, and I just thought maybe you could speak. I know they were appointed by the town board.
Yes, yeah, it's an annual appointment. We have 12 on our board right now. And then the law requires them to come from different areas with experience in housing. So there's somebody on the board that has real estate experience, somebody on the board that has banking experience. If villages opt in, they are required to have representation on the board. So, that's how it works.
And
What-
as
What
far as
about
the,
geographic disbursement?
So the town board, when they selected the board members, they did try and make sure that there was somebody from all areas of the town, east and west. We did get a good number of applications for people who wanted to participate on the board.
Well, that's good.
So, yeah, so it was terrific, and so we were able to do that, to select from all the areas, yeah.
and as far as supporting their work, you're going to be working with them very closely, and it will be your staff that'll do kind of the administrative support stuff, or?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Maybe one other question. So the funding that we're talking about here, that was coming from the 0.5% real estate tax principally.
Yes.
The community housing board will have total discretion. I mean, this is meant to be for people who live and work in the town of Southampton, for the housing units that will be created.
So one of the programs that I'm developing is for the town's workforce. And one of the programs is a workforce easement. So if somebody either owns a home or would like to buy a home and restrict it for the town's workforce, somebody who works within the town at least 30 hours a week, we would purchase an easement from them, which really would kind of, the rent would have to be affordable, and the tenant would have to be income qualified. And our easement would make up the difference between the market rent that they could obtain and the rent that they would get from renting it out to somebody at the affordable rent, and somebody in the workforce. And it's meant to kind of do just that, kind of keep the workforce, give them the ability to live within the town.
What's the financial mechanism when you say the town buys an easement? So those monies come from CPF,
CHF.
CHF,
Mhm.
and then, so there's a whole financial management component.
Yes, there is.
My only comment, and I don't know if this falls on your committee, Kara, but there's really a pressing need out here for seasonal dormitory type housing, similar to a youth hostel. The only example we have now is the golf courses, employee housing on golf courses, but those users typically have large land masses where they can be properly sited, but I'm thinking more like restaurants, landscaping contractors. Right now, the workforce for those businesses, seasonal dependent businesses, are, haphazard, most times illegal, stuffed into group houses. So to the extent that your committee can develop some sort of, guidelines template where they can be located legally with regulatory oversight, I think it would be, it's a pressing need in the town. I'm hearing for a lot of business owners,
Yeah.
restaurants especially.
That's a really good point.
Good point.
Yeah.
So we're working on doing some amendments to the accessory apartment law that might allow businesses to have accessory apartments that for their workforce. So it's developing,
Good.
Okay, so I'll add that as like a third
Yeah,
main point.
just something that needs to be addressed on the to-do list.
Okay, great.
So
There's
just,
other 3 or 4, right?
Regarding the makeup of the advisory, and that, it's really not a matter for this board, I wasn't gonna bring it up, but Tom had mentioned it. It says, rules for the CHF advisory board, individual board members shall act without taint of conflict of interest or without any appearance of conflict of interest. I know that you have a member of the board that's on the ZBA, and that member is also one of the founding members of East End YIMBY, or Yes in My Backyard. I see that as a big old pile of conflict. I do, and I don't mean to be mean, I don't. But, when we consider such matters, and they're delicate and emotional, I really want the community to think that it's a fair shake, it's an honest conversation, there's an integrity to it all. This seems conflictual to me.
Do you have any ethics regs?
So, yeah, they are subject to the ethics rules, so, as any board member is,
Yeah,
you know, so.
well,
Okay, I spoke my piece.
yeah, that's a good, can you make a note of that?
In your referral?
Yeah, that people serving on the advisory board are subject to the ethics code.
Well,
Well,
they're
that's just a
subject to
statement. Right?
they're automatically, right? They're,
Yeah, they are, yeah.
I think that's just a statement, isn't it? Do you want your comments
can we
to
frame that?
specifically?
I don't know, I think I just
Well,
framed
you
it.
can't, we can't just pick something out, but clearly it's there, it's an issue.
Well, first,
Well, this is, I mean, I think you're responding to this summary of like the funding. That's been created, that board is there. I think you want to maybe, have a general
Include-
statement at the beginning that, you support the efforts of providing alternative funding, and this seems to be in line with the plan as adopted prior. And then have the 3 comments that we've done to
But
date.
can you just briefly say the 3 comments?
Sure.
I thought there were 4.
yeah.
Okay, if I missed something,
Yeah.
yeah, we can
Yeah.
add something.
Should be-
Cumulative impacts to school districts, not just hamlets. Concern about equitable distribution across east and west of the town for the distribution of funds for affordable housing. And then, seasonal dormitory, suggest guidelines and legislation for seasonal dormitory housing need, such as restaurants and landscapers, et cetera.
Was the first one about the pilot?
Do you want me to say anything about pilot?
I thought
Yeah,
that's
well,
what
that
it-
was
that's
Craig's comment, the
Um,
first comment.
Well, yeah, well, it's,
That the
can you
pilot-
read it again? Because it would be
I just
in
said-
relation to pilot.
In relation to cumulative impacts to school districts, not just hamlets, in relation to possibly using pilots.
I think Craig was actually against using pilots, right? Because then he reduced the tax.
Well, I'm
rate.
against using
Tax-
pilots right now under the current structure of them because the school districts are being underfunded.
Right, you lose out on taxes once you.
Right, and if you have a cumulative effect, the stacking of that, what's gonna happen is the school districts could potentially go into crisis, right? You have the school tax cap, they could only go this far.
Of using pilots, of using
Yeah.
Or
pilots,
review,
okay.
review the requirements of a pilot
Yeah.
vis-à-vis distribution and impact on school districts.
Right. And, we weigh oftentimes we'll get a study saying, with the school impact study shows 6 to 7 kids, but we don't really do a post-construction analysis of such things.
Mhm.
And maybe we can go back a year later, say, okay, a Nelson Pope study said 5 children. We go back to the school district, can you tell what the actual impact on the school is? Oh, it's 12.
Yeah.
And then we
Yeah.
chart this data.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if we see that the data is consistent or inconsistent, then we can go to the state, or the town board can go to the state saying, we are being consistently underfunded by way of pilot. And if you want to have community acceptance and you want fairness, then we need to address these things.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point, too,
Very
because,
good point.
Nelson, typically those kind of studies that they use to come up with these projections are based on, we don't really know what the basis of their
Right.
their studies are, right? So they're saying we're gonna get 5 kids, when in fact we,
And
we
we
have
know
to get
that.
15 or 20.
What are they based on?
And we had to adjust for that because,
Right.
out here is a little bit different. People don't have, even parking and number of cars has to be adjusted because under the fact that we don't have real public
Real
transportation
numbers.
out here.
Right, yeah.
And maybe, I just want to go back to the question I was asking Cara, where, so, we had the community fund, housing fund doing these projects for affordable housing. We're trying to get affordable housing when we do subdivisions based on the number of lots. But then we also have, the other side of it, where we have private developers coming in and taking money from the state, which then, from my understanding, you kind of, they can then dictate who occupies these these rentals, even though it might be listed as affordable, it's not limited to people who live or work in the town of Southampton or Emergence. It's actually open for anybody who wants to occupy it, who meets the requirements. So how is that all being, grouped together and considered in the overall scheme of where things are located? Do we account, is the housing fund looking at all of that when they do this?
Sure, so you cannot violate fair housing laws
I
in
understand.
any respect, so whenever you're taking funding, so that would include this as well. The easement that I'm mentioning where somebody is required to work in the town at least 30 hours a week has been determined not to violate fair housing, so that is a restriction that we can place on it. We're not saying that you have to now work in the town of Southampton in order to be able to live there. We're saying that whoever is going to live there must
Must work in
work,
it.
yeah.
Okay, any other comments?
So
There, you
what-
got them all?
I'm going to add to your review the use of the pilots and cumulative impacts to school districts, not just hamlets. And then I want to add, after that, suggest investigation of built projects and comparing projected and actual data. Okay,
That's fair, thank you.
That's,
yeah.
Good.
So that'll be 4 items,
Yep.
2 I just mentioned, and then the other 2 that I had mentioned, so
Great.
4. But the planning board generally supports
Oh, for
the
sure.
direction of the funding,
Yeah.
Yes.
and the
It's just-
guidelines.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's a big project.
I think we made a recommendation at one point that Kara's department have sufficient personnel to be able to manage.
There you go. We're on your side,
I
Karen.
read your comments from back
Number
then.
5, make it number 1.
That's
That's
appreciated.
why I was asking about your staff.
Yes, it doesn't get done.
How's it working out?
We want it done and
So
done right.
that'll be another recommendation from us, I think, if you really wanted to.
Exactly.
So Claire, you'll let us know those?
Yeah, and I can add that, because
Okay.
you had some language to that effect in your previous report.
Okay.
So I will send you that after it's done.
Please.
And the
So-
advisory board members are volunteers, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
good. Well, thank you very much. Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Thank you.
Happy
Oh, we'll
holidays.
vote on
Thank you
that.
so much. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
motion to accept the
Motion.
referral is written, motion by
Second.
Dennis, second by Craig, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Then we have the Bridgehampton Historic Overlay District.
Yeah, so you saw this and you had a generally
Is this
favorable.
Kelly Doyle?
Yes.
Hi, Kelly.
Town attorney.
Yes.
Thank you for having me here.
It was a great presentation by the
Yeah.
historian,
Yep.
and you were very in favor of it. I bet they've changed course a little bit, and it's now going to become an overlay district for that area. And in order to do that is a different part of the code, and so you'd have to weigh in on that portion of it, so.
Right, it would be an amendment to the zoning code to create the overlay district and then an amendment to the zoning map. So it's just really a follow-up from the last hearing, and referral. The only difference between the last time you saw this, and now, there are 3 residential properties that have been taken out because they decided to opt out of the historic district. It's primarily, commercial, so they were given the option of whether to stay in or not.
Can you tell us what they are? Are they HC? Are they Hamlet?
No, there are 20.
There's
Are the ones that dropped out?
Yes,
There are 20.
but they're commercial.
No, I'm sorry, the ones that dropped out are 20. The ones
They're
that are still in are all different types of commercial.
So this is on the main street?
On the main street, yep. Actually, I don't know if you can see it, there's a map up there. It's right on the main street in
Oh, it's like down.
Bridgehampton. Yeah, it's kind of far away.
So you have an opportunity to opt out of this overlay district?
Only the residential, because there were only a handful of residential in the whole entire initial proposed district. And there was one property owner that was strongly against being included. So then the town board wanted to give the other 5 residential properties, property owners the option of whether to stay in or not. And there's a potential maybe in the future to expand the historic district or to just create another one just for residential.
Huh, so this,
So it's-
the bus, was the bus in there? As original?
Is that the bus right here?
No, that's the corner one with the office, but that's.
That might have been in there originally, that was taken out. The ones,
What's the cross street?
This one is Butter Lane. So mostly the residential ones, there was some on Lumber Lane and then Hull Lane, kind of right in here. There's a cluster of residential properties and those were taken out.
That's the corner of Hull and Ocean, I think. Right.
Yep, yep.
Oh, okay.
And what was the reason to change from a historic district to an overlay district?
Well, it's still a historic district, but we just wanted to take it a step further and actually make it an overlay district so that it could be incorporated into the zoning code and on the zoning map. And it really makes it easier. I mean, if you're in the historic district and you own a property, you're gonna know you're in the historic district. But it makes it easier for future owners or someone that's looking at the property just to look it up and look at the zoning map and see, okay, this is in the historic district. And then also there'll be a separate section in the zoning code, even though we have language in there already about what can and can't be done within a historic district. This will actually say Bull's Head, Main Street, Historic Overlay District, so then you can be guided to that section and know what you're supposed to do. So it just makes it a little bit easier for property owners and future owners and really anyone just trying to figure out what can I do with this property.
Are there any special exception standards applied to this? No.
No.
It'll be overlay district standards. Now, have they been developed?
They
yet,
are.
Or they're
Well,
based on the.
yeah, well, really, they just say that it just kind of reiterates what was already in the code already, but it just states that there's a referral. If you're in the historic district, there's going to be a referral to the Landmarks and Historic Districts Board, and you do have to get a certificate of appropriateness anytime you're going to do any exterior alterations. If it's interior, you don't have to go to the Landmarks Board, but anything exterior that can be seen from a public street or a public right-of-way. So basically, if you're walking down the sidewalk or you're walking down the road, if you can see it, then you're gonna need to go to the Landmarks Board first before you make any change.
So the applications that are in the hopper now are exempt from the overlay district?
If they were in before this was noticed for a public hearing and they have a building permit in the works, then they can continue with that. But as of the initial notice of public hearing, anyone that's applying for a new building permit has to go to the Landmarks and Historic Districts Board. And
And so do you have a date certain on that?
yes, I'm sorry, I don't have the original publication before me when it was published in the paper. But the initial hearing was in
Because there's activity
October.
going on in Bridgehampton, we want to be sure.
Yes,
Right.
yes. And this, when we noticed the original public hearing for the historic district, that was referred to the chief building inspector. And we made sure to make a flag in GIS, so the building department and anyone else, planning, looking at that could see that.
So it stops at Snake Hollow?
Let me see,
Yeah.
where are we? Yep, there's Snake Hollow there,
Yeah,
and Hildreth Lane kind of comes down there.
yeah. Well, as a Bridgehampton native, I'm fully in support of it, so, and I see that the Bridgehampton Civic Association is in full support. There were public hearings, so, any other comments from anybody on the board? This is,
Keep it short and sweet.
yeah, long time coming and long
Yes.
overdue. So
Planning
we
board
support it.
supports the implementation of the ordinance.
Right.
Is there an opportunity to increase the
Can we
parking
extend
space
it?
fee that was set in 1992 at
I know.
$2,000 a space? So, we'll buy 5 parking
back on our
spaces. Oh,
list.
great. You're gonna use Visa or Amex? It's absurd,
Yeah,
you know?
because there are a lot of other hamlets that
It's
have
it's set in
5 parking fees.
1992,
Yeah.
and they're still waving in front of us.
Yeah,
Parking space fees,
and
so,
where is the parking from?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Has it been absorbed into the general fund, or
No,
is it?
no, it's separate. It's separate,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
Bridgehampton should know how much it is.
In the Cayman Islands. Take that off, strike that
Take it
from the
off
minutes.
Okay, so let's have a vote on this. Motion by Gloria, and second by Craig, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent. Thanks very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Kelly.
Thank you.
Happy holiday.
Thank you, too.
So 4 is now amending the Town Code 33084 to allow additional height for new dwellings with gabled roofs
Yes.
located in the flood zones.
So this one I just learned about
lucky person to present it to you. I have copies of it. I think this is pretty straightforward. This is just a tool that actually you use. If this was a commercial building.
Commercial, yeah, we have that
You
too.
could vary it to add like architectural elements to
Yeah.
this. This would give the
Come,
planning
Jen.
board.
We're just on the third,
Perfect
the
time.
last, the height. You
We
can
can
sit.
skip,
Come,
we can skip to the other. Do
yeah, yeah.
you want to skip to hers? And then we'll go this.
Well, this is not gonna take more
Yeah,
than
this-
2 minutes.
Quickie.
Yeah, I think it's a quickie. So
She needs a break.
this will just be to give the option to do gable roofs up to 3 feet above it as an architectural feature, on these. So it would not allow them to go further for a flat roof, but it would just give them the ability to do gable roof up to 3 feet above what they would be permitted in that zone as of rights. Because I think the ZBA gets a lot of these where people are, designing.
So when you're in a
Buildings.
flood zone, how many feet do you have to elevate the house?
So you can go above 2 feet from the base floor, the 32 feet for a house.
So 2 feet,
So if
and
it,
then you start at 2 feet
Mhm.
above, and then 32 feet.
Mhm.
And now this gives you 3 more feet,
there would be 3 more feet to have or more of an architectural feature for gabling.
gable, and that's
Yeah.
defined so that people are not confused.
Yeah, gabled roof.
Still have to comply with the pyramid.
But still have to comply with pyramid. That does not be the
But-
pyramid.
And it says that?
There's no change to the pyramid section. It's
Is
just,
that referenced in here?
pyramid section, it is not because that's not changing.
I know, but I think you should make some reference to it here. If we ask the question, somebody else is gonna ask the
Maybe we should
question.
restate it.
Yeah, just.
That there's no
just-
change to the
Yeah,
pyramid.
yeah,
though.
Yes,
it does not
exactly.
impact the pyramid.
Okay, okay.
Right.
It's a good point.
Any other comments? Motion to accept it with that one change,
Support.
recommendation?
Motion?
Motion by Dennis, second by George, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
Thank you.
Janice,
Yes.
come speak to us.
And me.
Oh my goodness.
So good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon,
We're
Janice.
here with a sample staff report format, a new, shiny new way of doing staff reports that make it very, actually passing them out to you now.
Colors
And
and everything.
It's a Christmas miracle.
It's a
we
Christmas
think
gift.
that, did I take your?
No, not at all.
Okay. So
Go ahead, Jen.
Seth actually inserted one of your more recent applications just as a, give it a go. And we want to get your feedback just on the form and its format. This would be the way that we would fill out. This is a staff report, right? And it's graphic and it's somewhere where your eyes know where to go. Like it's not a 10-page dissertation. Now that doesn't mean that we're not going to attach.
My
A s-
8-piece dissertation will be attached.
Now, when there's special exception standards and we have to go through that with a narrative, that would be attached. And the other thing is, in the staff reports as they are today, we're cutting out and pasting in what other people say.
Like the
And
referrals.
referrals, which doesn't make any sense. Those should just be attachments on their letterhead in the record. You don't need to cut and paste it into a separate document. It's just,
No,
it's a fire
as
district.
we have it.
As long as you
they're
have it.
attached.
But now you'll actually be able to say which agency received a referral, so you can say, well, what did highway say? I see we referred it to them. Where's the highway referral? It's much easier to see who you sent it to. Who we send it to is prescribed by the code or the county charter, or, there's different reasons why we send, the state, whoever needs to get it, gets it, and we delineate who received it, and then you're waiting to hear back from them before you act. So just to go through
Tell
it.
us about the links,
Oh,
Janice.
the other thing, this is the second page.
I'm on the second page.
The
So the
color
first
side.
page
Is the first page.
starts with, it's a staff report. You can identify the planner very easily, the application information, tax map, Hamlet,
I put Southampton dog as the example.
Yeah, we
We're
filled
gonna do that
filled it in.
shortly.
Yeah.
So, and then the application type, so it's not just a site plan, but there's a special exception. So then
good.
there's gonna be some kind of an
That's good.
attachment, we're gonna go through the standards. Unless they're just the general standards, but still we'll have something in there. O-file map, and it will indicate the action deadline.
if it's been deemed complete. This is a staff report, so you know it's already been deemed complete technically, so it
Mhm.
would be on there, the action deadline, yeah. The secret status,
type 1, 2 on
status, or should we
listed?
say secret classification?
It's
That would be
classification.
Yeah, so it's not really status,
No,
secret classification.
secret class, yeah. And then
Type 1,
determination.
And then the determination. And then we also know here, this is for us too, you know, like if an EMB filing is required, you know, so we can look back and know.
What's an EMB?
Environmental notice bulletin. So anybody who wants to know anything that's going on in the world of environmental work, go on the New York State Environmental Notice Bulletin. By law, we're all required to post our projects there. So all the times that you've done neg
New
decks,
information.
Pos
New York
decks.
State, ENB?
Yep, New York State Environmental Notice Bulletin.
There'll be a
All the
summary.
things you do are on there.
Oh, good.
We have to put them there. And you can see all the other municipalities' projects on
Great.
there.
So is it required or not required?
Sometimes.
Sometimes it's required.
Depends.
Yeah, in this case, it's a type 2 action, so no further environmental
I
review. But
see.
if you have a type 1 action, all of them must go to the ENDs.
Interesting, it
Yes.
is new information.
If you
Where's
see
that gonna be?
environmental, if you see town board resolutions, you'll see, and the clerk is directed, or actually now they direct land management to file this in the ENB whenever they take a secret action.
Okay,
So it gets
Great.
filed. We do this normally here without you having to direct anybody in a resolution. We know we have to do it.
We have to do it by their state law.
Yeah, we have to do. So then a little box for project description, plan review, meaning what plans are included.
site plan, building elevations, and we're asking for building elevations now.
Renderings. So maybe we should
Yeah,
add
add a little box.
building
We have a
renderings,
space.
not just elevations.
We should write renderings. So we'll have a little space for that,
A
under
new one,
grading.
another box for renderings?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right above other. And then a spot for you to see an aerial, and this plan spot, they look kind of microscopic. Our idea here was to put a hyperlink so that you could just click it and you'll get taken to the page where you'll
That's
have
great.
the plans.
That's great.
Then if you, I don't know if you wanna go over this side first and then go on, or you
Yeah,
wanna give me
yeah.
all the comments in the back at the end.
Yeah,
Then you flip
good.
it over, like I mentioned, all the referrals, you know, when the hearing is, when the comments are due, and then sort of a section for comp plan best practices.
Wait, Janice, go back to project administration. What happens for if it's action deadline? Do
It's on the front. Front would have the action
Yeah.
deadline. You'd be getting this report and
Yeah,
it's complete.
application.
Oh, action deadline,
Application
application type, okay,
So
great.
just on that application type, I mean, that's obviously not an all-inclusive type we do either. So we don't have revegetation applications or change of
We gave
change
it-
of-
We get a report.
change of covenants, which
Right.
we get.
The
stuff like that.
re-veg is now going to
This
be
is,
It's now
now
administrative.
in your hands.
Right, we recommended it.
so
to
do you
become-
want it to say other, and then a line,
Well,
and we
we
can?
wouldn't do a staff report for re-veg.
Well, here,
No.
Yeah.
We do a resolution.
here's
You know what I mean?
here's my question.
Yep.
The reports that we review and adopt are either pre-application reports, pre-submission conference reports, CBA referrals. Does this form encompass, it substitutes for all those forms?
Not ZBA. I could.
How about referral, application type, should we put referral? Make a box. We have subdivision, site plan, special exception, construction permit. Is that demolition?
Construction permit's the same thing as a site plan.
Why do we have that then as a
Be-
construction permit? We've ne-
It's treated like a site plan, so we would do a report just like a site plan.
But this is gonna be the format for the pre-application report?
Pre-application reports, pre-submission reports, site plan, pre-submission reports.
No,
and
if you want a separate
staff
page with like a written paragraph from us about, you know, the issues or opportunities, we can do that.
That can
Like I
always-
said,
that's an
but the
this
main,
is a
like
check.
what you're looking
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
when
this
you
is
get
like a- This is
something.
like an
Like a-
index.
Almost like a cover sheet.
It's a
Yeah,
cover sheet,
cover
but we
sheet.
also don't want to write these dissertations
No.
every time. It takes a long time to go
Yeah.
through them. It takes a lot to read them. And most of it is referrals and this information right here. And then when we get to the real planning recommendation, we're happy to write a small, you know,
Yeah,
one-page
an addendum.
memo from the planner recommending something, if you want.
Janice,
You
I
know,
would say
but-
under application type, we've eliminated referrals. We have referrals on our agenda.
Well, referrals are in the form of resolutions.
So anything to date, this was focused on anything that produces staff reports.
Yeah, like applications. This is not ZBA referrals, town board referrals,
We could do
or
that.
we could. So
If
this is
this
why we're
works-
here, to get feedback
Yeah,
from
yeah.
you as
If
to
this
what you
works,
want.
we could go that next
for
step.
example, on our agenda, we just had 3 town board referrals.
Mhm.
So it would be nice to know if we get the agenda and we get sheets, for each of these, for each thing, that they're gonna be referrals.
I think we would make a separate thing tailored to being a referral
Okay.
document instead of trying, because this doesn't make sense
Yeah,
to
you
be
don't
like
have the- you don't
site
have all
plan
of this stuff in the
subdivision.
back,
It's a
doesn't
referral. It
work
doesn't
right.
make any sense.
Okay.
Unless it is a ZBA like coordinated review and you're
Uh-huh.
trying to review an application with the ZBA, maybe there, there's some custom things
So you don't
there.
wanna include it here, you wanna make a
I
separate
think we can
sheet?
make a separate, we could easily, and we can make them different colors. So when you get a red one, these are referrals, and when you get a blue one,
Oh,
it's
I
it's
like
that.
that. We love
Like you
color
wanna be
coding.
able
Yeah.
to know what you're dealing with, and
That's good.
we could do that.
But what we
Along
need-
those lines, should, we do sometimes with the work with the planner, we change the staff report. So should there be a version that says draft and then says final? Because when they come into us, we sometimes
Yeah,
work and tweak it and, then we get it back
Sure.
again later.
where would that go?
In all honesty, we should think about that. That's a good point,
Yeah.
because I don't have a good answer at the moment.
Somehow, so when we
Or
look
at
at
least
it,
have it dated?
I'm almost leaning toward like there's a memo that goes, I'm trying to cut down on the amount of paper, but
Yeah.
maybe this isn't enough. Maybe
just know
you're
that
looking for a little
sometimes we
more
wordsmith
verbiage or
things.
something justifying something or
Yeah.
another that you would wordsmith? Is that what you're looking to
I
have?
mean, I think what we see a lot of is that the planner puts down his or her thoughts on the application. But sometimes there's questions that they actually don't fill out completely, looking for our input at the meeting. Or without that, we come and say, well, what about this, what about that? So there's
that's another
there's
good
an
point.
iterative process.
Well, what
Right.
if we have, I would like personally to allow the planner to have a space to put their own recommendation. But it sounds like you want a space to have your plan, maybe we should have planning board concerns as a section, right? Because the planning recommendation is one thing. You may or may not take our recommendation, but we should be able to give it to you. We're not here to, just be scribes, we are professionals and we have recommendations to give to you based on all of our understanding, but you could take it or leave it. So if you wanna leave it, it would be better to have the planning recommendation and then the planning board concerns.
But I mean, you have it
You know,
all on the
vetted.
second page, right? You have planning recommendations. Maybe
Right,
you
but
can
I don't
squeeze
have
in
a spot
section
for
there.
planning
Yeah,
board.
maybe you can squeeze in a
concern.
section there first.
There should be,
But don't
I-
you need I'm sorry,
Let's
Dennis.
go ahead,
You need to have, if this is the report, you need to
Yes.
have a final report that is an agreement between the board and the planner, which is when the iterative process now, we get something in the packet. There are questions raised by the planner that he or she wants to discuss with us, or there are changes or additions that we make. And then the staff report gets redone with the final combined version.
Right, so I'm suggesting there is no we could give you this as the tool in
which
the
is-
meeting
Which is great.
and identify your issues on this document at the meeting, and then type up a report, and then you adopt, if there's a report to adopt,
Yeah, well, usually we have to, right?
Right.
Yeah,
well,
because
that
that's
goes,
what's filed.
yeah, that goes to my,
So this is more of an at-a-glance thing to help us synthesize all this information that you're getting, that you need to
It's
look
like a
at.
blueprint, instead of getting
blueprint.
a packet.
Are you putting down anything more than you normally, I know you're changing the format.
Changing the
Are you putting
format.
Are you giving any more input than you normally would with anything within your application?
No,
What I
it's-
don't wanna do is create a FOIL issue or a potential litigation issue if staff, and this doesn't normally happen, but should it happen,
Right.
creating any document that, I know the format's changing, but are we just reconfiguring what we already do?
Well, I'm not sure that we always write like respectfully submitted or whatever, and we give our report, but I'm not sure that we have a section in any of that report that gives our recommendation. It's usually.
I would say planning staff recommends this, planning board disagrees, once or twice.
We usually say it verbally, but it's not written.
But, no, and then I say the planning board finds. Planning board, I leave the planning staff recommends this, 4 trees, and planning board finds they want 6 trees. Because of the standard being above the landscaping for screening, just an example. So it's just, a little difference of opinion, but no,
So what if
it's
we
just all
had like,
factually
so we
there.
have comp plan recommendations / best practices, which this one could use a little more words. I don't know that I'm,
This was just an
this is
example.
just like dumping in some stuff.
Please don't look at what the substance is. This is just, I took a simple application
Yeah.
and presented it to you.
But I just wanted
Don't
to
look at the
address,
substance of it.
I just wanted to address Christine's concerns. When we get the staff report, draft staff report, sometimes it's so dense, it's heavy paragraphs, and in it you have to pick out the comp plan referral, this referral, things within the code. If we could make this work, then this would be highlighting those and a hyperlink to the reference in the comp plan. So we would click the link and then we would go to that section of the comp plan. So that the staff is not necessarily burdened typing all of that stuff in,
Right.
which
I think that's all great.
is better for
It's so much
us.
easier and it moves things along faster. I was just trying to ascertain whether or not we're creating, not another document per se, because it's substantively, are we creating more? That was my question.
No.
Yeah.
The only
This
thing
is what
here
would be
is
an
that we
example.
would be enumerating what our recommendation is and your issues and maybe / opportunities,
So you add.
the only thing I would love to add, which I don't know if you want to add, it only really is relevant to a site plan, but you could say, proposed, that could be in more of a memo form, but like
Planning
an
board
exaction,
comments.
like what are you getting, what are the proposed exactions from us, from, the
Okay.
level of the development usually requires some other, maybe, benefit to the public, so you may be putting in, a sidewalk connection, or street trees, or
Mhm.
something along those lines, some
Mhm.
public improvement
Right.
to offset your, yeah.
Zone changes, right?
No, I mean, you get those, we call them exactions in the site plan realm, in the public benefits in the zone change realm.
Zone change, right, we can't do that with site plan,
You do them as on-site improvements.
on-site.
Yeah.
Right, that's
On-site.
what I'm
On-site
saying.
improvements, the term is exaction in that
Related.
case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what are you exacting out
Yeah,
that,
right.
like a public plaza, say somebody builds a shopping center and you're like, I want a little
I
plaza
want a
spot
park.
with like picnic tables, that's technically called an exaction, and that's like a benefit to this, that the development
Right.
gives you for, and for whatever, but it's usually gotta be, it's
Within-
not
within-
above and beyond, and it's not off-site.
Right, right.
That's zone change world.
Well,
Yeah.
that's New York State law too, right? No, so so you have planning recommendations, those are staff recommendations, and then planning board comments, is that what you're
Yeah, that's what I'm
thinking of?
trying to get from you, and
Yeah.
it sounds like you'd like a place to put your
Yeah, yeah.
issues or
Because
opportunities or
otherwise, how-
comments.
I think it's problematic to use the term recommendations. Might fly back at us because someone's gonna say, look, the staff recommended this and you didn't listen to them. And, and this comes up in court. Why didn't you follow the recommendations of the
That's what I was
staff?
trying to say, but it sounds as though we already do that in the reports that we do, because I know I've seen staff I know we recommend, or I've seen that several times in reports, so that's why I was trying, if it's just reiterating what we already do, I mean, it's
We
not the
do
best.
give you
We could
recommendations.
say issues, planning issues. Because when you walk in here with this, we don't know the recommendations. You've heard, this is staff, but now you have to take input from the board, and we have to finalize this box.
Okay, so you would
Planning
rather
directions?
recommendations say planning issues, yeah, and then maybe in the,
Planning board.
Planning board comments
just planning issues.
Well, we like to think that we're working with
together.
the staff back and forth. Staff and the other professionals, they give us the input. we tend to embrace it and modify it, or sometimes we have a dialogue in the meeting, that's the
And
purpose,
then
that's
there's
why we're here.
there's findings.
And then we capitulate,
Then we-
No, but
But we have to go through the
the
process.
following, and then you put down what you're either,
Okay.
you're hitting the points that you wanna talk about.
What word did you use?
Staff identifies the
Identifies.
following.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then you put in
Good.
your.
Because the word issues is loaded.
The other
word
big issue
recommendations
is,
loaded.
I think we have to identify, and I think it should be in the step, we have to identify what type of document. We either have to say it's a pre-application report, a pre-submission conference report, because those are actually code documents that are referenced in the code that we actually officially have to adopt. And sometimes we renew them after modification, so we,
You want it
you
up
know, we
here?
very rarely just get staff report.
But it's
We have to
application type.
identify the document that we're,
Yeah.
whether
But
it's
it's
pre-application or.
But it's application type.
Yeah, but it's almost would be
So-
better
Isn't the staff report? Maybe
to,
this is just like a,
the title of the document
I
that
think
we're
it's a
reviewing.
cheat sheet sounds better.
this is more like a
And
cheat
you-
sheet, and then this is like a cover sheet that goes, but
Oh.
now we're adding, we're going back to, you know.
But is this
100
what
pages
we're
of stuff.
adopting
do I
by
have to?
resolution?
No, I mean, we can attach a
No.
memo on our letterhead that summarize, this is the summation of this, or, and then you adopt this, you know, and this is the summary to
like
this.
I
This
see
is
this like
everything
an
that
in-
went into,
This is like an index.
But what's the document that
Yes.
we're adopting?
So,
it could be the memo, we call it a report.
so maybe
We
just,
we adopt the staff,
But there's a lot-
the staff report.
But there are a lot of
When-
substantive
By
issues.
law, you
Now
have
I'm
to
doing
adopt a
two
staff
things.
report, I wanna ask Christine.
no, it's,
Well, this is a referral sheet, like, by law, do they have to adopt a staff report?
I have to see what the code says specifically, I don't remember.
It doesn't.
the date and what it says.
I don't
It
think you
doesn't,
have
but
to adopt a
we
staff report.
have been to date for about 15 years adopting a staff
I
report.
remember, yeah.
And adopting the pre-submission report and by adopting the
Pre-application.
As modified
pre-application
by-
report.
And these carry
As
big weight.
modified by us.
We don't take applications if one of these reports is out of date.
Have you ever questioned this? Why do you adopt these reports? I mean, like, just out of curiosity.
I just thought
And
we
when
had
they
to.
adopt the reports, it's more like them saying that we're acknowledging this is our report. I mean, they're not, like, it's not.
It's,
adopting
By
a report
code,
is
you
not
have to
like
adopt
a
a
town.
Is an Article
report.
78 actionable and they adopt a report, like some, somebody?
Depends on what stage you're at.
yeah. I think it brings certainty to the application. A lot of important real
No.
estate transactions are based on
No,
report.
but
We don't see them.
pre-submission reports and pre-application reports are not a decision.
No, no.
No, those are
They're not decisions.
investigations.
They're not,
No.
you can't Article 78 them.
No.
No.
It's
Well,
accepted.
let's go back to the beginning. Do
Yeah.
you find value in doing something like this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I don't wanna go any further if it's like, we don't know why we do this.
so possibly, Janice, in the application type, right, we have the main ones listed there. So take, for example, either subdivision or site plan, you did talk of putting another box in there that says other, and that
Yeah.
other could be, you can identify it as a subdivision pre-application. That could be a pre-application for check over. You're not gonna have a fixed thing, it's got a box, so you can add something that says pre-application. The next iteration might be pre-submission or, you know, something. like
Yeah,
that.
I'm almost thinking of color coding them so that you, and then you could easily find which, yeah,
But
recorded as
but
based on its.
application type really includes
Like the pre's would be a
the
different color than the real
pre-application-
one.
pre-application and
Post.
pre-submission. We have those two that we look at, which is an application type, but it's not included here. Any reason why we didn't include
Well,
it?
but we're laying.
I think we're just trying to lay the groundwork on like, what are we doing, and does
Yeah.
this make sense, and what else can we add, and how else can we do it, which is what we're talking about, so
And
this is
tweak
very
this again in
valuable
6
information.
months.
We can
I
come
would think
back with
after
other
we've
samples
used
and be
this.
like, okay, now we heard you, and we think if we did it this way,
But
would
we'll
that
always
work?
have
Should we-
access to supplemental documents that support that was
Of course,
written on
this is
right?
giving you it at the ready,
Yeah.
Right.
and you'll be able to click a link and
Great,
pull out the
yeah.
document.
So in
Does
my
that
world,
make-
in my line of business, we have something called a pre-funding checklist. This looks like a pre-funding checklist, when you go down, da, 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 da. And if I'm missing something, I go back into all my data, all my files, and go, why is this missing? Is this here? Is this good? Okay, then I can go back.
All
That's,
digital links, all
What's-
links.
sometimes it's paper, sometimes, with us, it's actually mostly contractual,
So
so
it's
it's
like
on
a
paper.
checklist.
And that's what I feel like I'm looking at here, which is, it's a very useful tool.
Yeah.
I
Very
mean,
useful.
I
So
would
don't-
recommend, let's try using it and see, rather
Yeah, we tried to
than-
like just fill it in here, but I'm looking at it and hearing you, I'm almost like, like we're missing some stuff, it sounds like.
Well,
I
the most
suggest you go
important,
back and look at this, make some more changes based on these.
Yeah, but
and-
that, sometimes that can go into the air, you know?
Yeah,
If
I
we
would,
come back, we should,
I think use it and see, and we'll figure out what's wrong with it and then fix it some more.
Well,
I mean,
let's,
and I don't mean it negatively, it's
Yeah.
just that,
no, let's go back to the drawing board a little bit, because I think that then we should just come back one more time
okay.
with
But you heard what we
what we
need,
heard
pre,
you say.
pre-application, pre-submission.
Pre-submission,
Yeah.
pre-application, and then what are you adopting? Cause
Right.
this, you don't feel like is a report,
Yeah.
you know, it feels like a checklist.
Oh,
It
it's
feels
gonna
like a
have,
report.
Yeah. Remember,
they're gonna
yeah,
have everything else.
the purpose of these pre-submission, pre-application is to direct the applicant how to
Yeah,
prepare.
so what we are
their-
talking about is a memo in addition, if there's site plan special exceptions or some kind of verb, you know, something that needs to be said. And then all the referrals attached to this, like a little, and that's the full thing that you're
Yeah.
adopting,
Yeah.
not just this one piece of paper.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You
If I'm
need- You need
understanding-
a date on it, so that if
There
we
needs a
change it,
date.
Yeah,
Definitely a date.
date.
if we change it, a
And the
later
date
date
could
will mean
say-
this was a later version.
It could
So-
say December 14th draft, and then it
Yeah.
could say December 14th
The
adopted.
term I
Yes.
think Florian
It
is
could say
correct,
that. Yeah.
draft, the term draft should be
Yeah.
included in the title, whether it's draft pre-submission, draft
Mhm.
pre-application.
I mean, we can put a watermark on it that says draft until it's adopted,
you
and
go.
then,
There
you
you
know,
go.
That's true,
that'll be
too.
Yeah.
easy.
I think I'm hearing concerns of, possible litigation, right? See, if someone comes back to us and like, wait, look, all the check marks are here.
But
You-
again,
this is my approval.
pre-submissions are not litigation. Staff report is adopted, but it's adopted with a resolution. And so it is the resolution that is
Yes.
adopted first,
Yes.
and the staff report is the support for that.
Yeah, so we're not saying we're not gonna write anything anymore. You'll still write your memos and you'll still read things, but we're just trying to get away from like the 12
you
pages
mean
of
we don't
stuff.
have to read this?
Yes, you have to read that,
Right.
but there'll be links and you'll be able to sort of
Yeah.
see it at a glance much easier. We're trying to make it easier for you, for us, for everyone involved.
I have a
And
question.
whoever is following along, the public has a hard time following things because they don't understand our process and they also don't understand who you had to send it to, what did they
Yeah.
say,
True.
how did this go, why are we doing it like this? Like, it just makes it much more like easy for everyone to follow
You
along.
applaud this process,
Makes sense.
100%.
So, a question on seeker. You know, the checklist, that would be attached? Impacts, no impacts?
Oh,
Along
yeah.
Impact-
Oh, yeah.
That
Well,
would
by
be-
the time you're getting this,
You already
for a
did it.
site plan, you would have already done that.
Yeah.
And so it would have said, type 1, negative declaration, right? Or type 2, that's it. Or unlisted, negative declaration. Otherwise, we're doing
But
something
that's a
different
good
if it's
point.
positive
You almost
declaration, right?
want a, secret cover sheet, right?
Yeah.
Remember,
I
we're
see
really
how we
getting-
can complicate
No, but
things so
then-
quickly.
But the attachment could be,
The attachment.
it still could have the language that, you considered it on this date, this
Yeah.
date. This is just the quick
But
one.
but we have the opportunity to review it. I think the concern that you hear is that that this is just an index, but the planning board participation is just as intense as it has been, right?
Yes,
Of course.
yes.
We're trying to make it easier for you to
Yeah.
not be like, I didn't get this and I'm waiting
Yeah.
on my report for that.
Or
and,
I'm trying to
you
look
know,
through the report to see.
I can't find the section that you
What's
know
the
is
big
relevant.
issues,
Yeah.
And you
Like,
could just go to the
gotta
issue
go through 12
section.
pages before you see
Right.
that. And so
Right.
we're trying to make it like, this is an at-a-glance thing
Yeah.
that makes
This
it
is great. It's gonna help us.
No, I
and-
think-
synthesizes the
and the
information.
applicant.
So what I
I
maybe
think it's
do,
helpful.
take
Very
your
helpful.
comments, and then I'll give you an example of which one, what they would look like.
Yeah.
Pre-application report, site plan report, pre-submission report.
Yeah, let's do a mock-up.
Yeah.
A little bit more than just, we filled this in, but.
This morning
Yeah.
at 10 a.m.
Don't
So,
forget-
We
yeah.
can
We're
do
gonna
a
be seeing
mock-up
this-
so you can see it like how, and based on your agenda.
You're gonna be seeing this a number of times in one application. First time we'll see it in the pre-submission, then we'll see it in the actual complete application
But I don't
completeness.
have to recreate that.
I know.
You just
I won't-
notify.
That's
Oh, I
a-
mean a
Recreate
different
it.
color
That's notified.
coded
Right.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah, which would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, yeah. Okay, so we have a little bit better sense of what you
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
would be appropriate,
That's
and we
great.
can go back to the
Great.
drawing board and just make it a little more
You're heading in a
user-friendly.
great direction.
It's
Janet.
progress.
Great,
Kudos
great.
to you and your
Progress.
staff.
Thanks, we're just trying to make this, lot
Is this a-
more
Yeah.
participatory. What's that?
Is this our holiday present?
Yeah, this is your Christmas gift.
Yes, it's a
It
present.
should have been red and
I give
green.
you hope.
We appreciate that.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Janet.
I'm gonna pass it
Happy
down.
holidays, Janet.
Happy holidays.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you can pass that back down. Craig didn't get it.
We'll have our, Craig gets the rest.
Craig gets a
Here you go.
cookie from Kristen, Christmas cookies. Okay, so we're going to move on to Anthony. Want to take Hampton 6
Yeah, that's actually just an extension until January 8th, 2024.
to January 8th?
Yeah, Claire and I are working with Tom, trying to get
When's our
all,
first January meeting?
January,
11.
We just adopted the calendar.
Ah,
Hey, look.
8 is not on yet.
oh, sorry, what date, no.
11.
January
No,
11th.
it's
11th?
January 11th.
Oh, the 11th, I'm sorry.
11th.
January 11th. Okay,
So you need
motion
a motion.
by Dennis, second by Gloria, and all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent. Bartlett Tree Experts, Anthony.
Where's those? Okay, here's the copy of it. I'll show this, I'll put it up there. So the board might recall, this is the Bartlett Tree landscaping business site on North Sea Road and Sandy Hollow. I have the aerial up here. It's an R20 zoning district with a pre-existing special trade contractor use. The proposal is to clean up the site a little bit, sort of reformalize the parking a little bit. Closing off, actually, the access onto Sandy Hollow, so that's being closed off completely, so I think that's good. And then the purpose of this is for the installation of some trailers for the storage of chemicals and such associated with the landscaping business. As you can see from this plan here, although there is some more, clearing associated with this project, you can see the buffers are still very well maintained. We have a little expansion of the parking lot back here, but we're still maintaining the minimum setback. By and large, if you've ever been near the site, really nicely screened along North Sea Road. You can't really see much going on in there. And actually even just looking, aside from some of the little, storage area that's encroaching here into what would be a buffer, the site's pretty well maintained. So like I said, they're trying to install these 2 trailers, reformalize the parking, some new drainage is going in. The town engineer has reviewed this one and just only had 1 comment. And again, then we could sort of move the cars that are sort of sitting over here and down here and put them in the parking lot. This shows the
Where's the main entrance in?
the main entrance here off of North Sea Road. This one off of Sandy Hollow gets closed off, and then this area and along here gets revegetated. We did a pre-application on this, but this was a formal application. I handed you the resolution.
So there's circulation around there,
Oh yeah,
Anthony, right?
oh yeah, this whole thing just like that.
Okay. Okay, let's go over the,
All right, so first page of the resolution, it's all the standard stuff, the project description. We did a pre-submission conference report for this, May 26th, 2022. This is a type 2 action under SECRA. We deemed this application complete, and we waived the public hearing with a 30-day written comment period. No comments were received. We did referrals to the involved agencies. What I put there's a typo, no comments received. The application was deemed complete in the terms of being in compliance with the regulations. For deeming it complete, we got comments from the town engineer, so he's just recommending a grading flooding covenant to hold the town harmless from any flooding resulting from the development
entire
use of the
property?
site. Yeah, that's, that, we've been getting a lot of those. I have it, you'll see in the report, I have it grayed out for discussion, just for the purpose, I just wanna make sure what legal document we're asking for. If it's a covenant, if it's actually a hold harmless affidavit.
okay.
We got comments from the Office of Fire Prevention, who did provide some comments. The pretty standard ones, the ones that require map changes, where they talk about relocating some dry wells and demarking the fire lanes, that's been incorporated as the changes. A lot of the other stuff gets addressed during building permit review, but anything that we needed to incorporate, we did there. The page 3, the Suffolk County DPW gave us a memo December 8th, 2023. They approved the project and they, subject to a highway work permit as deemed necessary by the county. So when they go to get their building permit, they'll get that referral and if there's anything required. So we incorporated that. We didn't get any other referral comments, so the next paragraph is the resolve to approve the project for the installation of the chemical trailers, subject to 1, changes to the site plan, and I say per the Office of Fire Prevention, and those are the specific site plan changes about the relocation of the dry wells and the fire lanes. I indicated just provide some basic planting lists. It's a small area of re-veg where they're doing the closing off of the driveway. They'll berm it up, and then behind it there'll be some landscaping. I just asked them to indicate on this site plan what they're planting. I have no doubt Mark, the tree experts, could probably
You could
plant
put
some
something
nice
nice
stuff there.
Oh, some trees.
And then just correct the limit of disturbance, because there's a portion where it's pointing to some of the prior improvements as proposed limit of disturbance, so I just wanted it removed from the plan to show where, and just clarify where they're doing the additional clearing, which is really up here. And then I have noted dumpster. I don't see a dumpster on the site plan. Am I missing one, Karen?
No, I didn't see a dumpster
Okay.
either. It's used as an office, so I mean, I'll check on that if there's a.
So I know.
Just identify yourself.
Oh, it's
for the
like
record.
Karen Pate Murphy, attorney for the applicant Bartlett Trees. Yes, I luckily Anthony gave me the resolution this morning, I wasn't able to
Okay.
check that, but I did see, you know, the aerial photograph, I didn't see any dumpster. And I know it's an office, and they're moving the chemical.
Okay, you're gonna have to speak into these
Okay.
mics if you wanna be on the record.
So the answer is there's no dumpster, is that
Yeah,
correct?
Karen
Does
Pate
the board
Murphy,
want
there's no
the site plan
dumpster.
to show a dumpster?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have that to say, to show the dumpster on the site.
Meet
proper
condition.
Okay,
Screening.
all right.
Proper screening, because there should be one on the
Yes.
site. Like I said, the site's very well maintained, but there should be one. The general conditions of the approval, again, compliance with the requirements of the Office of Fire Prevention. We note that the storage of flammable liquids, highly combustible, radioactive, or explosive materials or hazardous chemicals are subject to all federal, state, and local regulations regarding their storage. Any new HVAC systems must be screened. The installation of dust-to-dawn lighting fixtures are prohibited. All existing lighting shall be brought into compliance with the town code. No public address systems. Future signage to be approved by the planning board. I do note in there, all trucks, equipment, and landscape materials currently stored outside of the designated parking area shall be relocated and stored within the improved area of the site only. So now at least we know they could be relocated. Arranging for the pre-construction meeting with the engineer. For submission prior to signature, that's where the first one talks about the grading. He said requesting a grading flooding covenant holding the town harmless from any flooding. It's just a declaration of covenants and restrictions, I'm guessing, that would state that. So I'll leave it then as a covenant. And then I'll have to add into the resolution the submission of the covenant and mortgage consent. The next one, engineering fee to be determined, notarized affidavit, and then submission of the final maps for signature. And then prior to a CO, a maintenance bond for landscaping, which we deal with after that's done. I will have to add in here then the submission of the draft declaration of covenant and mortgage consent if applicable for the flooding affidavit.
Anthony,
That's from the engineer.
the storage of the hazardous materials, do we require any proof of compliance with the New York State regs?
When they do the building permit, yes, they have to.
They do that.
That's part of the fire marshal's review of
Okay.
this application.
Okay,
So they'll have very specific signage that has to go on there, you know,
okay.
safety measures. So just with those few changes, I think that one's pretty good.
Any questions from the board? Terry, Karen, did you have
I'm
anything?
fine with it,
Okay.
if you're willing to adopt it.
I'll move to adopt.
Motion by George,
Second.
second by Gloria, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Happy
You
holidays.
too. Anthony Certain Solar?
We'll let the applicant's representatives come up to speak to the board. So just a reminder for the board here. This only came in earlier in the week, so Claire and I really didn't have a lot of time to prepare.
Right.
But we want to, discuss it with the board. This board did a BES approval, a small BES facility in Enterprise Zone.
It's in the zone.
Behind the
Enterprise zone.
Suffolk Credit
Yeah.
Union in Riverside. And it was a very small battery storage facility, almost like a testing facility. And it had a second phase, a small component with some solar, because that was going to be part of it. The overwhelming majority of the energy was going to be taken from the grid and stored, but there was a solar component. The approval was done, the approval was extended. Final maps never came in, though, for signature and stamp, and moratorium has gone in place for the battery storage facility. And so they can't submit final maps to get them stamped. There's no, building permit, that they could apply for unless they go for a exemption from the town board. The applicant came to us. It is my understanding, and I'll have them confirm, that there's some issue with timing because of state funding and all the rest of it. We cannot do anything about the moratorium of the battery storage, so that's off the table. They've requested, though, to come in and to modify the previous approval to eliminate the battery storage, at least for the time being, is my guess, and then just proceed
Just
with
do
a solar, which then would give them the ability to do the clearing. The bat window's also coming to a close very soon, so that's sort of how this all came to be. I believe revised plans came in earlier this week. And so I wanted them to have a discussion with the board to see how you felt about doing
And
this
just
modification.
Just so you know, we also talked about the fact that they were willing to say that there would be no vested rights to the battery energy storage if in fact it came down, that it would not be allowed there, or any of it.
Perfect. Can I just intercede at this point? Claire, give us the update on the long-eared bat that the
Okay.
New York's, just so that the board is educated about it.
So Janice went into a meeting with New York State DEC, and it looks like they've become an endangered species, and the designation will then limit clearing permanently for all clearing, basically in the town of Southampton, to be permitted only during that time
In
period.
that window from December to February, is that it?
Yeah, to the
So
end of
just so we
February.
all know that that's.
So
That's coming
Yep.
down.
So that's
From
good.
the-
Clearing.
it's everywhere,
That's
not
gonna be
just
kind of
really-
townwide,
Yeah.
a townwide
Townwide.
Looks like a
Restriction, I think.
townwide,
Yeah.
most likely Long Island wide, but.
Yeah.
Well, I think it is Long Island.
Is that also gonna be the same for residential
Yes.
property? It doesn't
It's
apply
everything.
before us?
That's
That's,
what I'm hearing, is everything.
all right,
Yes.
How
good.
does it, the obvious question is, outside of
Building
the
permit.
APOD, you don't need a permit to clear.
There will be a permit requirement now, probably we'll pass legislation that says a building permit clearing requirements
Before, prior to clearing.
prior to any clearing, yes.
And what about clearing, like, they want to expand their yard?
Same.
Same. Anything, between that time period.
Yeah, at first it's gonna be on the DEC level, obviously, but it's gonna.
Be
not-
No, that
Townwide
time period is the
legislation.
only time you can clear, December through,
Yeah, December,
February.
February, yeah.
how is that gonna be administered?
Yeah,
It's
that's
very
the issue,
difficult
right? Because
administration when there's
you see
probably
some-
two people in the DEC.
You see so many people just
Has
going
this
in.
gone out
Yeah.
to public notice yet?
It's coming, yeah, it's coming.
I just wanted everybody to know.
Yes, thank
because
you.
I heard it at the agenda meeting.
That's a big change coming
Yeah.
throughout
So
the town.
certain solar, so we're looking at a revised site plan that it will be.
This is the plan.
When was this first
Can you
approved?
give us your name for the record?
Sure, John Armentano.
John Armentano.
Armentano.
We approved it in 2023 this year, prior to moratorium. So just, so then to clarify to George, the current resolution, although like I said, they can't proceed with that resolution, was done, is valid until 2025, George, just so you know.
So we don't have to rescind that or do anything?
No, because we would be doing a modification to the
This
approval.
is a modification?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's been a fee, and then but they just wanted to initially get your feedback
Okay.
before we did any resolution for you. So yes, it would just allow for the solar and the solar arrays, any of the,
Can we see the overall enterprise zone where it's located?
Yeah.
Anthony, can you pull that out?
And is it the same amount of solar that we originally?
was originally
approved?
contemplated, and that is at a lesser level. It doesn't require special exception, it would only require site plan approval from you, which was a party of the previous application, but this would be an amendment to that application to eliminate Cass, and as she said, there would be no vested rights,
And
I think. would
is
be
there
a
any
good
built
condition.
development in this at the moment? Is there anything built on this site at the moment?
No,
It's vacant.
Not this site, but in
Yeah,
the surroundings, yes.
I'm gonna look at it.
Do we have a
Permit.
current one where the certain
you know
of
what it
those
is,
lots have
Yeah,
been
this is in Flanders,
built
right?
on?
That's what these,
I think about maybe 405, George, have been, there it is.
So
Take
this
a
is the
peek.
site here. These are all town properties, that's where the
It's off
sewers.
24, I remember that.
Most of these have been built out. I'm not sure about this one.
So the one in, the outlined in red is
That's where we did the
site.
approval. Yeah.
And the rest are, that's for the sewage?
one was Davis House moving storage.
What was that?
One was Davis House moving storage.
It
I
was
thought.
going to be, yeah,
I don't know if that's built yet.
no.
But I'm pretty sure most of these adjacent here are actually town. Well,
Town.
Yeah, I think they were gonna be part of the whole Flanders,
Yeah, that's
those,
town.
those, yeah,
Yeah, these are all town.
Okay, so that's a fully wooded site now, so
It's a
the
fully wooded
clearing,
site.
so you're
And
subject
for
to
the
the
record, their
clearing.
clearing, their permitted clearing was 50% from the original site plan, and 50%,
Mm-hmm.
based on the subdivision. And they were proposing 35% of the time, so
Okay.
it's less than what they're doing.
So when this, would your storage or any energy, generation or even the storage component, what is that gonna be feeding into the grid?
There's a substation, there's an interconnection agreement that my clients already have, and their funding is critical on starting the project. We're taking phase 2 and putting it first, and then phase 1 will be battery storage when that's decided by the state.
Where's the interconnect?
PSE&G Long Island, pad mount equipment.
Can you come up?
Okay, so this is, my point, the question really is, this is just to generate power or store power to feed back into the grid, is that the power, proposed building on the site or anything like that?
No, it's a battery storage site with supplemental solar. The solar is now being phased first, and then the battery storage will be.
And what was the proposed, when it was proposed, what was the capacity of the storage component?
5 megawatts.
5 megawatts, okay.
That's taken.
That's on hold, yeah, I understand, but I just wanted to,
So we'll feed back to the utility when
Yeah.
needed.
So where is your substation?
It's the utility substation, so we'll just have batteries on site that will feed back to PSE&G Long Island.
but
when
where
needed.
is it relative to that? On 24 someplace, or, the
Where's your
substation?
The batteries-
substation?
No, the substation.
I don't,
Uh,
we'd have to look at the utility maps, but there's a feeder directly on Enterprise Zone Drive that's gonna
Ah.
be extended to our site. That's how, that's part of the
So you feed
interconnection
back into-
application with PSEG.
Gotcha.
Was approved, and the money we pay is to extend the feeder, tie it in, goes back to
Okay.
the substation, the local community.
Yeah, can we have your names, please, from PSEG?
Jamal Watkins, Certain Solar,
Oh, you're certain,
We're,
sir, right?
yeah.
9 down.
Oh, you're all certain, you're not PSEG?
No, they're not relevant. at this
PSNG
time.
does not come to these
So we
hearings.
can't talk to you about the rate increase.
Sorry. Robert Shortino.
And this
Great.
project is completely independent, the success, I should say, of this application is independent of the battery storage. In other words, if the moratorium finds that we're not gonna proceed with the battery storage, this is still okay.
This can operate, and then it will consider modifying to further supplement the solar.
Right.
Right.
Council said there are no vested rights, right?
In
Cor-
any of it.
Yeah.
solar or
Correct.
battery.
But I think you're asking the business proposition, which was my question. You did a
Yeah, I don't want you to.
You asked it better than
clear-
I was
Clear
trying to
lots
figure.
out, and we're moving away, yeah.
And you're not
They'll have to-
removing,
if you were to look at this favorably in the way that they're asking once they make the application, we would have documents that would need to be signed that specifically state all that.
Okay.
And if, for example, if it doesn't work, we can have a revegetation plan. I mean, we can work something out so that we don't just, yes.
so right now you're just coming in to get
the
Solar
best
complete.
part of it taken out, but have the solar panels just the way you originally proposed them, and everything is just
Correct.
keep it that way.
Phase 2 is now phase 1, correct.
And what do you expect the generating capacity of the solar to be?
12 kilowatts each,
Times
So,
2, so
20,
24.
24, 25?
It's a small amount.
So 12 kilowatts total?
No, 24.
20,
so there's
24, 25
Two,
total.
two
There's-
sets of arrays, yeah.
Oh, okay, so relatively small.
Okay, all above ground,
Correct.
and so the clearing is an issue, you have to get this
Well,
cleared?
we're in the bat window, which is the critical component of why
Yeah.
we need to proceed with this modification at this time. Yes.
So what's the mechanism, do we have to amend, are we amending the site plan?
Modifying the site plan. You have to eliminate the best component and to approve the
Is this
solar.
And then they'll make the application to do that. They haven't done that yet, correct?
Correct, we want to get the board's feedback and then we'll come
Yeah.
in.
Oh,
We
then
could
you're
do
gonna come in with the
We could
amended
do
app.
it till January 11th, and then that permission, once it's granted, plans are signed, then they could clear. You could give them permission to clear that day too,
Yeah.
you know, so they could actually have the clearing for permission.
Window
wait.
for the bats is what, the end of February?
Yeah,
Correct.
And
whatever.
if-
Yeah, so that's in that time, we're going to talk about 6 weeks, so, yeah. But clearing doesn't take long.
Okay, well, I think we support it. Support solar, yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So we'll prepare,
We'll
they'll submit the
prepare
application, and we'll prepare the resolution for the 11th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, the hard copies, yeah. Great, thank you.
Happy holidays.
Claire, you wanna do Atlanta?
Is there an
I
action?
do.
There's no action on that?
No, actually.
No action. Here's the latest and greatest pre-submission reports. Here is some plans to share.
I read this, Claire, it was good to give a little history, which is good.
Yeah, I wanted to do that, yeah. Not in a vacuum.
Yeah, yeah, it would be. Very well. Did you get one? Yes, we did. Yeah. Lucky you. I'll let you open it. They're unreal, I know.
So I'll start in with the description. So it is a 16-bedroom, 6,500 square foot building for employing housing accessory to the existing golf course. And I just wanted to give you some history, that's on page 2 at the beginning. So that it was subject to the pre-submission and site plan wetlands permits for the same, very similar project. At the time of the decisions, the chief building inspector determined it was accessory to the existing golf course. The neighbor appealed the determination to the zoning board of appeals. Planning board on December 16th, 2021 adopted a site plan wetlands permit. The ZBA made a determination dated June 16th, 2022, that absent a request for a variance or a change to the town code, this board has not authority to determine that an accessory building intended to be used for cooking and or sleeping purposes is permitted. The town board on March 14th, 2023 adopted the legislation for 330-162.25 living quarters for golf course employees as a special exception use. And the planning board on April 13th, 2023 rescinded the December 16th, 2021 site plan wetlands permit decision. So a new pre-submission conference application was submitted, and a public hearing was held on October 26th. No public comments were received during the public hearing, but during the 30-day written comment period, neighbor challenge to the site plan decision is now challenging the enactment of the special exception standards and project is incompatible to this property and this residential neighborhood.
Is that a legal challenge?
Sorry, yes.
That's me, sorry.
And then items to be submitted, if they proceed with the application, would be a full site plan application, a special exception petition, full wetlands permits, site plan, elevations, floor plans, lighting, landscaping, engineering plans, and the long form EAF. So the project is unlisted action pursuant to SECRA. SECRA is to be completed prior to deeming the site plan completes. The use, living quarters for golf course employees is now a special exception use in the town code, I cite the code. Review below standards, and I just for your reference, I think that E definitely needs some additional information because it's saying that the maximum permitted size of any new building would not exceed 7,000 square feet, which this doesn't, but it also says a total floor area for the aggregate for a golf course should be 14,000 square feet. So we would need the information about the previous, there is additional employee housing on this property. So we would need those facts that you've previously approved in 2000s and
Okay.
so we would need that information. So floor plans, what the building is, put it on a site plan, that kind of information. So that was the one that, jumped out at me, as a standard but all the standards will have to be stated by the applicant and responded to in a petition when he
Are
submits
these
it.
new special exception standards devised
Correct.
primarily for
Golf course living.
golf course living? Okay.
Yeah, golf course
And
employee
they're in the
housing.
code, Claire?
They're in the code under that section, yeah.
Okay.
Cited. I just took it and parsed it out and attached it to the end of the reports.
Right,
So
but
it's
at
easy for you
330,
to reference.
162.25?
Yeah, 0.25. Yep, exactly. So, the western corner of the site is located in New York State archaeologically sensitive area. They prepared a phase 1B. It was concluded no further archaeological investigation required. The applicant is proposing the use of an IA system. So the project appears to meet the setbacks of 325. Non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer shall be established from the wetlands. And this was something that I think you discussed with that previous turf barn that was approved, that there would be a buffer established around the entire ponds. At that point, I think you just established it in that one area, but with this application, the entire pond will have a buffer around it. I'll specify what that's supposed to be. I think it's 100 feet, but I'll note it. And the planning board supports the current design with there's a fuse shed easement on the property. It's shown on the plan to be kept open. And then maybe add additional landscaping buffers, and that would be part of the site plan. Street trees added along Full Road. The trail, at a time of the site plan, there'll be a trails advisory report in the application, so we can include
Right.
their comments. I think there's been some changes in the location, because in the previous application, the town did not own the lands, these two parcels, but I think they do now, as of now. I must have checked that, actually. Yep. So these two
Okay, good.
parcels now, so it's an opportunity, instead of having to go along into the wetlands to traverse this, there's an opportunity to go through these.
More straightforward?
Yeah, so now that the town trails is, they'll come back and show, we can
Okay.
have a more direct, connection there, so.
So they've been advised to give us a report?
They have not seen this yet, but I have.
Not formally.
I have
Yeah.
given them a heads up.
Yeah, they know about it, I've spoken to them, but we're gonna do the formal referral
Yeah.
at the time of the site plan, which has been submitted, so we'll probably consider that in January. The appearance of the building is acceptable, the board recommends foundation plantings, information in the geothermal system to be provided, I think they did that, so I think that's on the plans.
I think the county requires a closed system.
Okay,
I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's the case.
well, yeah, I think they provided that with their site plan anyways, so, but it's good to note it.
Or maybe it's the water authority.
Either the water authority or the county? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll note whoever does, I'll note
Yeah.
who that does. So I think you supported the land banking, so that should still be part of the application. Of course, we'll do referrals pursuant to, the wetlands and site plan review in a public hearing is required because it's special exception in this case. So I gave a copy to the applicant yesterday, so that's for your consideration.
Wayne?
Good afternoon, Wayne Bruin, O'Shea, Marcinsick and Bruin, on behalf of the Atlantic Golf Club. We have no specific comments. I just want to follow up what Claire was trying to indicate, and we did express this at the hearing. And it's interesting to note the comments we received from the now 3 neighbors. But as Claire pointed out, the 2 parcels that were part of the Short Pond Associates subdivision, which was the Held family, who were objectors. The 2 immediate parcels were purchased by the town as open space. But more importantly, if you go a little further north there, Claire,
Okay.
you'll see 2 of the other parcels the Held family had. They sold to a builder, and they built 2 houses, which you can see, which dwarf. They're almost double the size of what our proposed dwelling will be. And they are there. And then, so the objectors are no longer the Held family. They don't have an interest in any of the surrounding properties. But the objectors are Mary Ann Gabriel, which is the 1 parcel immediately adjacent to us. And one of the changes also was, when we originally proposed a plan, there was a line of evergreen trees proposed on our site plan, and that was actually installed, physically out there now. And we advised the board that if more is needed, we're willing to do that. But that was a change in the physical conditions. The other objectors, interestingly, are, if you look to the north of the 2 dwellings, that 1 vacant lot, and then the next house are the 2 other objectors. And
Up there?
Yeah, so they're very much removed from this, and now separated by houses that are like their own or otherwise. And all of those properties, interestingly, unlike Atlantic's property, they all put these giant evergreens along the entire frontage. So the view shed along there, none of that has been maintained. But I just wanted the board to understand how and where and what the objections are coming from. We did see the letter from Mr. Matthews, as we thought there might be more expression of what concerns their clients actually have, what harm will result from this project to their clients. And of course, that letter didn't provide or any further insight, just a major objection. So unsupported, but we'll proceed. The report is standard. You do have, since September, a full final application, special exception petition. We showed in a full expanded environmental assessment form. So I think we'll work with Claire to make sure everything's complete so that you can address the final application as soon as possible.
Yeah, the only thing I think we would need those floor plans for the existing.
Yeah, I think you're reading that section wrong. It's the new buildings, the aggregate, and we participated in the hearings, and I think you should discuss with Katie Garvin. It says in the aggregate, but it's related to the new buildings couldn't exceed. You couldn't put more buildings, so, because every golf course would never be able to expand because they all exceed that now.
So the word is
I
aggregate?
still think we would need it. I think it's a planning.
Well, you have them. You have files. They were all approved by this board, so you have
What year was that, William? Do you remember?
the years.
Yeah,
3
the-
times this board approved site plans for the expansion and of
The other
affordable
housing.
housing, yeah. They were existing barns that were converted.
In the 80s or 90s, or just an idea?
2000, yeah.
I mean, we
2000.
Yeah.
have proposed.
We put, in our report, I indicated the history and when the dates of those approvals, so.
And the square footages.
We can go back and pull your files and see what the square footages are.
Well, that would be proposed. I'm saying existing.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go back and pull your files to see.
Right, so we proposed 7, I'm just gonna make it up.
proposed 3,000 square feet. When you build, you know, you come up with 2,950 or 3,000.
Yeah, they were all
and
existing,
more square foot.
they were all existing buildings that were converted from their
And then
use.
no additions put up.
There were no additions put on those buildings. Except for, sorry, there was a dormer put on the one building to get light and access, and that was also subject to zoning board grant for pyramid relief, because the building's located about 2 feet from the property line.
Okay, so
Okay, so we can get that info.
I think so.
Good.
Great.
No other questions?
No.
Good.
Thanks.
Okay, Claire?
Yes,
All
for
right.
your consideration.
So, any other questions on this? We can adopt the report, the draft report. Motion by Dennis, second by Craig, all in favor. Opposed, abstention. 6 in favor, 1 absent. Southampton dog, Claire? We could
Yes.
just add that as an example in our new
They
form.
didn't know they were gonna be used as an
Right,
example.
right.
I know.
Oh, absolutely.
So, we have a pre-submission, and then for your consideration, we also got the application submitted to our office for the next phase. They're anxious to get this up and running for the summer.
That's what the first one.
So if you like, if the pre-submission does get adopted, I think we consider this for completeness too. So just keep that in your back of your mind. I have an extra. So this is, right now the building's green, they're not doing any changes to the building, but they do want as a phase 2 to maybe eventually turn it to like a barn red that will do a referral to the ARB, at the time of the site plan, so that's that. And then this is just the, as-built, but there is a site plan, it shows a small dog area in the front of the corner, and then, in the back of the building, so that is their proposal. I think I have,
Plenty of space back here.
I only have I have a couple copies of this, but this is a good example, if you don't mind passing it down. It shows the 2 areas for the dogs.
So that was my one issue, Claire.
Okay.
The outdoor dog area in the front, right on the corner of County Road 39.
Do you want the applicants up here?
Yeah, if you want to come, come.
You can just identify yourself for the record.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Isaac Zalowski, and
Veronica Krzyzewska. Oh, and you've got a puppy.
All right, that's not fair.
This is exerting undue
You
influence.
said we didn't bring one, and you were sad and complaining, so we brought one.
All right, approved, let's go. Whatever you want.
And what's his name or her name?
This is Pippa, she's 13
Great.
years old. We just got her
Great.
14 months
you
ago,
pass that
so,
pen back?
from the shelter.
Very sweet.
Can you pass it?
I'm not adopting a third.
We had this one for over a year, we're keeping her.
You're keeping her. So my one issue was this area in the front
yes,
where you want some outdoor space for dog exercise or whatever.
right.
It's a very exposed area. It's on County Road 39, endless, ceaseless traffic. Lots of emission fumes. I don't think it's an appropriate place. So if you can absorb what you want to do here, somewhere in the back, I think this would be a much improved site plan.
And if I may expand on that, I see it as a potential hazard to drivers, only because it, you see dogs playing out there. Oh, look at the dog. The light turns.
Yeah.
Someone beeps. You hit your gas. It could distract drivers. So I agree with Chair.
So what they could do at this time, because right now the project conforms the code, but they have to meet a 50-foot setback in the rear, which is just to, and actually, let me pull it up. It's to the LIPA property.
Oh, yeah.
And again, light industrial, no neighbors. That is really for like neighbor setbacks, right?
Right.
They have to go to the zoning board of appeals, but they wanted to ask you if you were supportive of that, to make that area in the bigger that bigger.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And they
Better-
don't
better
need so
for the
much parking,
dogs,
so they
better
can take
for
apart that
traffic.
parking
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Right,
Absolutely.
Okay.
thank you.
So we'll proceed with them so they can get the
I-
use started. We could have a small area in the back, but if they go to the zoning board of appeals, they can, they can
Yeah,
do-
and then you can plant that and, that make that front area nice.
Right,
That was our first thought, but then we
Yeah.
were told that we have to, in the back, we have to like keep that 50 feet.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
15.
We're just, we
You
could,
can make a bigger one, longer for now.
yeah.
But if you want to take some of that area up, it may be supportive to about 30 feet or something setback, something to that effect.
Yeah.
But see how it plans out and then
Yeah,
bring it back to you. Okay, as we go through the process,
Yeah.
right?
Thank
Does that
you.
make sense?
yes?
Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's a 9,000 square foot building. 2,000 of the building is gonna be for some offices on the east side. And the remainder of the 7,000 and change is gonna be for the kenneling for the dogs inside. And then just have that smaller area in the back for the dogs.
Here's
So
the
they'll show it
front
on their
view.
site plan.
Oh, you're inside.
It's a type 2 action. The use is under veterinary service and kennel, so it's a kennel use that they're proposing. And so they propose to reuse the building. And then I'm gonna talk about the small area, the dogs to be relocated to this house. So if you could just provide plans prior to the meeting, to the hearing, which I think in this case we probably have for February 8th. Does that make sense? Okay.
Did she smile?
She's completely toothless, so I don't know if it was.
No teeth.
She's old.
The play area or whatever for the dogs would be in the back? not
The
in the
sluice will
front?
be in the
Yeah,
back,
move it
we'll
to the
have
back.
we'll have a new plan for the hearing, so they can amend it
Yeah,
and conform.
Good,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that sounds good.
Thank you.
Appearance of the building's fine, it's existing, but they wanna change it to the barn red, which might look good.
Sure, I
So
think
we'll do a
that's
referral to
attractive.
ARB. Yeah, and, so I just went through the parking, they generate 19, but they have 40, so they have plenty of parking on the property. I would just suggest that they, restripe it, it's been faded over the years, and have the handicap spaces, but that's something we can have during the site plan.
And there's a lot of nice old shrubbery along the front that is gonna stay, right? We're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
Touching any,
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
little overgrown in
Yes.
places, but still just clean it up a little bit, but yeah,
Right.
it's a good, well-landscaped site, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm recommending adopting the reports, as one action, and then we'll just do the completeness as the second action, if you.
Okay.
if you're okay with
So
that.
motion to adopt,
Motion.
motion by
Second.
Gloria, second by Dennis, all in favor?
Aye.
6 in favor, 1 absent. And then complete and schedule a public hearing?
Yeah, so we're looking at February 8th.
Okay, so a motion to deem it complete and schedule a public hearing for Feb.
8. Oh, no, 11.
Oh,
February.
I think it's January 11th, February 8th.
Oh, Jan, I'm
February
sorry,
8th,
yeah.
February 8th. Motion
Motion.
by Craig, second by Gloria, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1
Thank you.
absent.
I'm just gonna
Thanks
say
so
in
much.
that-
Thanks for bringing the puppy.
To the hearing.
I was gonna say in that resolution about the submitting the plans for the new area in the back, the play area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know what's gonna happen? Old lawyers gonna start showing up with a puppy like, here's my application, and look at my puppy.
thank you.
Yeah, the
Thank you,
cuter
guys.
puppy.
Happy holiday.
Thank you.
That's so great.
You did the dog, Bridgehampton
The other
Commons,
thing
Barnes
she
and
didn't do
Noble
is
sign.
pass the dog around.
Yeah, so this is pretty standard. So Barnes and Noble is open, of course. And it's a site that I think it was collapsed for a hot minute, and now it's Barnes and Noble. Not far from Petco, but it's a gray and yellow sign, very standard looking.
I was there yesterday, not to,
Yeah.
to King Cullen, but.
Yeah. So that's the proposal. Here's another, the
The
gray.
sign, the
It was
signage
approved.
in the comments is
Right.
really beginning to look great. you know.
Good.
Good take.
And they've got signs and directions, they don't have enough carts, things.
Yeah. So I have actually, I printed a resolution, but to recommend approval
Is
based
that the
upon
right
the plans.
size, Claire? Are those letters the right size?
It seems large to
They
me.
seem large. yeah.
Well, there's a picture in there, and that is the picture of what they've installed already.
Well, I don't care, I mean,
The ARB approved it. It does meet the requirements for the size.
it does,
Yes.
it looks very large.
Yeah.
do we have, did they submit to us? This is their submission?
This is their submission. Yep.
That's not right. We should voice it
Yeah, I mean, I have to say,
backwards.
it's so big and
Kevin,
spread
is there
out.
someone here? Coming?
By Zoom,
Yeah, is there someone here on Zoom?
would this be McCullough?
No, the sign person.
Sign. Do they give
Maybe
us anything
Gina?
there?
I just think it's too big. Just put that.
Oh, okay, Stevens for my other one.
Doesn't tell us anything.
It doesn't have the dimensions?
Fabricated middle letters,
No.
3-inch deep, 8-inch return. It doesn't give us an overall size at all. Here, you take a look.
There's 5 pages there, but I don't know, does anyone of them
I
have the
have one
dimensions?
of them. I don't-
And here's
No,
two.
this is
Is
David.
there
Yeah.
anything?
No, this doesn't have any.
I'm seeing 1, 2,
I have 3 here, 4, 5.
and that doesn't have the dimensions on that, right?
Looks bigger than the
Here's
Petco in the
dimension,
background.
The overall dimension. 26 feet,
26 feet by
2 by 21 inches.
21 inches. Now, I don't know that that complies with the master sign code. Is there some way we can
yeah.
call that up?
Oh, I can.
That goes
Okay.
one.
Yeah, right.
Good deal. I didn't see
But they have
It's hard
dimensions,
to see.
26 feet.
26 feet,
2.5.
2.5 inches, and then
2.5,
it's
yeah.
21 inches
Height.
height.
This is the overall square footage, which is this length
Yeah.
by this length.
I mean, it's as big as the it's as
Almost.
long as the building.
Yeah,
And just seems out of character.
there's a maximum size here, so if they're not in
You're in a parking
compliance
lot,
with
you're
it.
not driving by it at 40
Yeah.
miles an hour, you know.
Almost, it's a little small, would be easier to read.
Yeah.
Okay, so the approved master sign plan. Da-da-da-da-da.
Size and size.
Storefronts under permitted an 8-foot, under 40 feet, so it's bigger. Or over should be permitted 12 foot or 8-foot wide sign plaque at the election of the tenant. So 12 feet, so this is 21, right?
This is
26.
26 feet.
Good memory. This is less than 8, okay, sorry. Greater than, I'm sorry.
What's the size of the store?
This is a bigger store. This is the one, so under 8,000 square feet had to do the green and gold. Remember that?
Okay, right.
So above that, it just says signing consistent with the detail of the master sign design packet, which complied with some regulations.
Sign dimensions.
dimensions.
Here we go. Total area of any one or more wall signs, including any awning sign, shall not exceed 1.5 square feet for each horizontal foot of wall on which they are mounted. Shall not exceed 75% of the width of such a wall. So this is not, no, this is a wall sign.
Has to be calculated.
Sign dimensions, here's another one. What is that?
Well, this has to be over the 8,000 square feet, so keep going.
Mm,
They have under and over? I think we need the over 8,000 square feet.
No, it just says, just approved by the planning board and architectural review board. It does not give a limitation on signs, size.
Well, I think it's totally inappropriate for them to put up a sign and not have planning board approval. After all the work that we've put into for a master sign plan for the commons, to do that,
Mhm.
I really, you can convey that to them.
That's the landlord. That's Kimco.
Yeah,
They may have messed up.
They're coming back, it's too long. Is that what you're saying?
sign is,
It's,
it
Yeah.
violates the sign code.
Oh, I don't think it does. Marjorie did look at this prior to. But I don't, if you think that scale-wise it's too big for that portion, then that's something.
it looks ridiculous,
Mhm.
in my opinion.
Okay. And you didn't notice the sign when you were there in South, right?
Oh, I saw the sign, because I was parked facing Barnes and Noble when I went into King Cullen yesterday.
Okay.
So it was like,
You know, this mistake was made once with Petco in Hampton Bays, where the Petco sign was gigantic, which really dwarfed the other signs. So, I don't know what we do about it, but we should do
I
something
can
about
relay this
it.
back to the applicant, and they should
Yeah.
appear at the January 11th.
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing from the board is it's out of scale. Okay.
Did they get a permit?
We'll double check it.
Did they get a sign permit for this yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No.
But it's up.
it's up.
See that?
Well, could you refer that to code enforcement then?
As
Yeah,
well?
they should be cited.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll do that, and then I'll appear back before you.
okay. Great.
And then I'll relay this.
Thanks, Claire.
You're welcome.
Part of this package.
And I'll have it double checked that the sign, it meets the code at least.
Do you need this, Claire?
Thomas and Julie Crowley. Anthony, you want to do that one, or do you? Did you sign the sign plans, Gloria? Did you sign those tables, Mr. Beal?
They were off the agenda.
The sign plans are both off the agenda. Number 27.
Yeah, Old Stables is off.
And the clock, mobile
And the
park
clock.
is an extension.
So number 27 is off.
And we've got it on as for an extension.
Okay, and we've done the planning discussion. We've done 28.
That's not mine.
Yes.
All right, so the next one is Julie,
Secretary.
sorry. Thomas
Like
and
it.
Julie Crowley. This is a very simple subdivision. This is a 2-lot subdivision. This is on Canal Street in Hampton Bays. It's R15 zone. If you look at the aerial here, you could see all the lots. This was previously 2 lots
Yeah, it looked
that
like a
merged.
merger, I was gonna say.
So they've looked to recreate it because it wasn't a subdivision map that was approved by the planning board post 1957. They had to go back to the zoning board and do all that, which they've been successful. It's not in any overlays except the agricultural, the archaeological, which they did. No wetlands or anything like that. So it's pretty straightforward. They're just putting it right down the middle. There's an existing residence and then a proposed residence to the north. So I have a resolution for the board. Just, if you look,
Is there any vegetation in there?
there's no vegetation. There's very little vegetation on the lots in general. Some of them have, but you can see it's pretty bare over here.
Is that because the soil is very sandy, or?
It could be, who knows?
It's obviously not in the APOD.
But also,
But it's not in the APOD and not in the wetlands.
they're small lots, so people
Yeah.
just probably clear
And
that.
sort of just clear them. So if you look at your resolution on page 1, again, it's a 22,000 square foot lot, R15, so they had to go to the zoning board. Obviously, the zoning at the time the subdivision was done was different, it was consistent. They were successful, they got health department approval, the zoning board relief. This goes back, we did the pre-app report on this in 2019, then COVID, and then having to deal with the health department and zoning, so it took a little longer. That's okay. We deem the application complete in November, and we waive the final hearing with a 30-day written comment period, mostly because there were 2 hearings on this already, here and at the zoning board of appeals. Bottom of the page, the planning board findings. Number 1, County Department of Health Services approved the proposed subdivision on August 26, 2023. It did note with the new IA, innovative alternative sanitary systems and public water. The pre-app report for this was adopted in 2019, and the plan is consistent with that. It's type 2 action under SECRA. It is archaeological sensitive area, and Trapper did a report dated February 2022. The final hearing was waived with a 30-day written comment period, and no comments were received. And this will be subject to a flat park fee of $2,500. So the next part is the referrals. The engineer provided comments. Standard comments, the 3-inch rainfall. They talk about requiring the covenant noting that proposed lot 2 will be subject to road review. That's perfectly fine. There was, again, stockade fence relocation, and the encroachment that he notes. There's a small concrete patio encroachment along the north property line here from the adjacent property. I have it grayed out in the resolution. It looks like it's been there for a gazillion years. I don't know if the board has any role in dealing with this.
The encroachment.
The encroachment. I tend to think not, but we dealt with this on the zoning board recently. There was an agreement between the two parties, so we'll get to that. There's the map again. Comments from the Office of Fire Prevention. It's served by public water and fire hydrants. No issues there. Conservation Board noted the existing clearing. They noticed the IA systems, and that's sufficient as mitigation for any wetlands impacts, although nearby wetlands, not wetlands within jurisdiction of the town. The Trails Advisory stated they had no trail implications. So the resolve is to approve the subdivision map. It was prepared by Nate Corwin III. Subject to the following map changes: the postal delivery house numbers for each lot, the removal of the proposed structures. You can't file the maps like that. Per the town engineer, as may be applicable, there might be something on there that they would have to fix. Adding a notation to the map regarding declarations of covenants and restrictions, adding a notation to the map regarding compliance with the zoning code, except as modified by the zoning board of appeals, and they put the date of the approval there. Two, I just note the encroachment. Christine, if I may, what's your thoughts? There's a very small encroachment coming from an adjacent property onto here. It doesn't impact the building envelope, and it's just noted by Tom. The engineer noted it, and I don't know what.
They should resolve it prior to, so we can make it prior.
However they resolve it.
Yeah.
It could be an agreement between two parties, okay? So, but,
Yes, we were, Kevin Springer, Dynamic Legal, 104C, Squiretown Road, Hampton Bays. I have already taken up talks with the neighbor, and we will either come up with an agreement, or they will move, I think it's 1.3 feet of it, that's the amount of the encroachment, maybe even a little bit more, because they don't want to have any issues down the road if they decide to sell or do an addition of some sort either. So they know it's there, it's all amicable, and one way or another, we're gonna figure it out.
Good, thank you.
thank you. Next is the payment of the park fee, $2,500 flat fee. Declaration of covenants and restrictions. These are all standard in this case. No further subdivision, no lot line changes without planning board approval. Again, all new utilities and new utility poles to be installed underground, that's applicable. 3-inch drainage for all future impervious surfaces. Lot 2 would be subject to road review process under Town Law 288. And then it's the town attorney approval of the legal documents, town board acceptance. Nope, there's no scenic easement here. Take that out. Number 7's out. So then it's just a submission of the Mylars and paper prints for signature, and then to be filed within 62 days. Pretty straightforward.
Any questions? Comments? Okay, motion to accept by Dennis, second by
Second.
Gloria, and all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent. Teresa, 16 Indian Avenue LLC.
Hi, good afternoon. This is just a referral from the Zoning Board of Appeals. I have a copy here of the September 15, 2023 report that the board adopted the pre-application report, which identified the needed variances, specifically road frontage from Coolidge Avenue, and I can pull that up for you. One second. So this is the subdivision. They're proposing to divide the lot here, with this second lot taking frontage from Coolidge. They do require a road frontage variance because there is insufficient road frontage there. I have here again a copy of the report. Would you like to have it? So the resolution before you is just to refer a copy of the report which identifies the needed variances without providing a recommendation one way or the other on whether or not they should be granted to the zoning board of appeals.
Can I,
Yeah, does Teresa, do you want to go over this at all before Wayne speaks?
Well, this report was adopted by
This is
you.
the one we
Okay.
adopted.
You had already adopted that report in
Okay.
September.
So,
And it's just to refer that to the zoning board of appeals without making a recommendation
Okay.
one way or the other.
Wayne,
So Wayne Bruin of Shea Marcinsick and Bruin for the applicant. With all due respect, Teresa, I think, and maybe Anthony can provide some clarification. Simultaneous with this application, we did make application with the zoning board for the 2 requested variances. And when this board in September adopted the report, we did provide the zoning board with a copy of that report. And at the hearing, one of the comments, they had also received the Conservation Board report, which you, if you recall, suggested that there was illegal clearing on this property and so on. We had that discussion at this board. After this board's discussion on that, and at the time of the zoning board, I had discussed this with my client, and I said that the discussion we had is that this board may want us to consider providing some sort of buffer along the westerly property line. And the zoning, I suggested that would be a consideration that the zoning board could entertain as well. They actually asked us to go back and provide them with a plan, which we did a week or so ago, actually November 15th or thereabouts, or actually December 4th, the landscape plan. And my recollection was that the zoning board wanted the planning board's input on that landscape plan. So they didn't ask, they already had the pre-app report, so.
do we have it?
I haven't looked at it yet. The whole thing is sort of bizarre. All this is about is Candace did her referral of this variance application to the planning board. The planning board normally adopts a pre-app report, and a lot of times we say in there, this shall serve as comments. We didn't do that in this case. So all that we want to do is refer the comments to the zoning board of appeals. I will handle that with the zoning board of appeals. I don't want the planning board to review and approve this now. That
Okay,
doesn't make
so
any
we'll just-
sense. Just let's refer the thing there, and I'll deal with the zoning board.
We adopted this, and now what we're doing is referring it, using it as a
That's fine,
referral.
and what I tried to
Yeah.
express to the zoning board, that is, that we would submit something and with the final application, and you would review, and you would provide your review and comments to that at that time. So it was sort of premature, but nonetheless, that was what I thought was happening, but I'll go whatever Anthony.
Okay.
Do we do a resolution sending this, formally sending it? Is our
We've gotten
advisory?
away from it only because we usually say in there, this shall serve as comments to the ZBA. But we do get we've always historically gotten referrals from the ZBA and done a resolution. In this case, we didn't preemptively address it, so that was the only.
So do you need a separate resolution now?
You could do one now, yeah. I
Well,
would.
let's do it.
Well, I drafted one, it's in your packet.
Thank you.
It's just saying that this serves as the comments to the planning board,
Where is that,
at zoning board.
Teresa?
It should be in the packet.
Oh, so they don't have a packet.
We don't have packets.
We don't have a packet.
Provide it separately.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't do that.
In the process of our new
No,
format.
this is the old, this is the old format.
The old format.
I'm sorry,
I
No
don't
worries.
have- That's what it says.
So
I mean,
it's one
basically
sheet.
it'll
Just-
serve. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very simple resolution.
and it states the date of the adopted report, and just saying that we're referring it as our.
This shall serve, this
Shall
report shall serve as
serve as-
our official referral.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll move
correct.
it.
Motion
Sorry.
by Dennis, second by Gloria, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. 6 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you.
Jackie, I'm gonna ask if I could just, so I can prepare for.
Tonight?
meeting,
Yeah,
if I
sure.
can just finish my stuff.
Okay. George
Um,
Hastings,
I got stuff for right now.
I get it.
George Hastings is a 3-lot subdivision, Old Riverhead Road and Hastings Lane in Hampton Bays. We did an approval for this already, an existing house and then 1 lot in the back and another lot along the road here. They've been meeting the conditions of the approval. One of them was previously, Tom mentioned SWIP. Whatever the engineer says, we incorporate. They had discussions with Tom. We got a subsequent memo from Tom after we did the approval, eliminating the requirement for the SWIP. Based on the clearing that was contemplated for this. If you're under an acre, you're not subject to it. So we had it in our approval, just as Tom outlined it. SWIP, SWIP, SWIP.
So we're unswipping.
So we're
So,
unswipping,
that's what this resolution is, basically,
unswip,
to
It's a
unswip.
new word.
right.
We make up one here.
Been that good, Gloria?
Yeah, it's one of my joys in life to create new words.
We're unswipping according to Gloria. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, so if you just go to the second page of the resolution, it's resolved and it's amending the final conditional approval as follows. So to eliminate the SWIP requirement in conditions number 2 and 3. It eliminates conditions number 6 and 7 altogether. It eliminates the SWIP and Speedy's covenant requirement, but we're adding a covenant that puts all future property owners on notice regarding flooding. That's what Tom suggested. So that's really what the resolution is. We're eliminating all references to the SWIP as required and including a new covenant. And then all other conditions of approval would remain the same.
So we're adding a covenant.
We're adding a covenant.
Wayne, is this you?
Yes. And I appreciate your patience, the number of years that this has gone through. Interesting, if you have 2 seconds, and I know you're busy, but 2 things happen. One, as a typical covenant, and this has a series of covenants that deal with stormwater runoff and the appropriate dry wells and everything else, and there will be this additional one that the town engineers require, and then we'll already prepared revised covenants and everything for the town attorneys. This is the last thing. But interestingly, about 2 years ago, when we had prepared those covenants and we got the title certification, the clients had a mortgage on the property and you require the mortgagee's consent. We sent it out and I found myself trying to explain why this board's requirement for a common driveway and the other covenants that you had are something that the bank should accept. And they frankly weren't going to accept them. Among other things, they said, no, and these people were in Louisiana,
That's why.
believe there should be separate driveways for every lot. So what happened though is in the interim, my client paid off the mortgage to get away from them. So we're good now. But
Good, that's
that's part of
interesting.
the delay. But the other part was the town engineer and Mr. Borilski discussing the SWIP requirements. So thank you for your.
So the motto is not to get a mortgage from Louisiana.
You get the mortgage from.
Doesn't matter,
And
they sell them right over and over
It's
again.
It's with Chase Bank,
Yeah,
but that you end up with somebody.
It's servicing,
Louisiana.
yeah, they service.
yeah. Okay, so
stories.
Anthony, so,
So I recommend approval of the resolution
Okay.
as amended.
so motion?
I move
Motion
it.
by Gloria,
Second.
second by Craig, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent. Rothman Dynasty, Anthony. And then you
Yes.
just have extensions,
Yeah.
right?
No, it's not, well,
After
I have a
the-
draft resolution, I'm still waiting on my 239 referral, I got a little backlog and I messed it up, but I did want to get this draft resolution reviewed. But the planning board, you might recall, I took this over for Jackie, Rothman Dynasty. This is a 2-lot subdivision, well, technically it's a 3-lot subdivision, 2 residential lots, 1 existing house, and then a open space parcel, I believe, is proposed to be dedicated to the town. Let me show you the map. So you'll see, the 1 lot down here encompassing the existing residence, a 2nd lot over here. These improvements will come off the final map. And then all the open space and wetlands to the north as a separate property. You'll see all the area of wetlands, and including the existing conservation easement, are incorporated into the proposed open space. That easement will probably not be relevant anymore, is my guessing. It was established, I think, probably, well, whenever it was established. But also as part of this plan, we have wetland setbacks that are shown to affect each property based on the recommendations of the Conservation Board. Each of these lots will also have a covenanted naturally vegetated non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer, I believe extending, maybe it's 100 feet from the wetlands. Yeah, well, it's extending 100 feet from the wetlands on the new proposed lot. And then it's it's varying with the whole length. So it includes a non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer from the wetlands. It includes the appropriate setbacks for structures and sanitary system, all of which are shown on the map here. So they comply with all the wetland setbacks. It also includes a common driveway that's going to serve both lots. This is lot 2. Lot 2 also shows an access off of 7 Ponds Towered Road, which this board could discuss. We'll go through that. Although, I mean, I'll get to the resolution, but as it relates to that, that was, you know, a discussion that the board had. Frankly, I have no idea why that access is there. If you look at the aerial, you know, the access is somewhere down here. You know, this is a drainage area, there's a culvert, there's all sorts of things going on. At the time discussion was raised, Alex Greger, I believe it was Alex Greger, his initial memo said, under no circumstances is this going to happen. No way, no how. In not so many words, but I mean, that's what it said. And then through discussions, you know, do this, engineer it this way, engineer it that way. We got the final application in, I did my final referrals. I referred it. Charles McCardle is the superintendent now. He came back, really only made a recommendation to change, it was a map change on one of the sheets. And beyond that, you know, he didn't make any other further recommendations. I left it noted in here because I think some board members did have questions about the need for that second access. Particularly,
It's necessary.
what's that?
It's necessary.
You think it's necessary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why would you say it's necessary?
In the afternoon, the traffic backs up to the stop sign way, way back. You can't get out of that driveway.
You mean over here on
Can't get
Lower
any-
7 Ponds?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That
I
how
I live 5
all
minutes
those
from there.
roads just become gridlock.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
traveled through them.
very,
It, like I said, I put it in there for discussion purposes, and if it's not an issue, then
well,
it's
there's a
not.
way, I mean, does the plan of the second access show the culverts?
Yeah,
It
it was
does.
part of the whole thing, had to be designed to address and any changes that were
Yeah.
needed in property. So yes,
As long as they
100%.
can keep the water moving through that swale, it's not an issue, and it's a benefit for the traffic. As much as you can take, you know, traffic off that intersection, it's a plus. You know, if you're going north, why go out into that horrible intersection? Just take the second exit.
Do you still want, well, we'll get to it, do you still want a common driveway then serving both lots?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
you don't want separate driveways.
Okay.
So one of the 2 lots would have 2 ways to get out, and the other lot would just have.
The other one
the
just fronts on Lower 7 Ponds, yeah.
So the construction of that driveway then has to, has
I
to
wanna go through my
comply
report.
with engineering, right? And have we
Yes.
had Tom to take a look at this, or he's?
Tom,
Back
well,
up.
I'll get to it, you'll see
Yeah,
what
go
Tom
ahead.
had said in
Go
there.
ahead.
So, we'll go through our resolution here, because I did all the referrals, we got the final application. Like I said, it was my mess up, I'll be the first to say when I messed up, taking on all these projects, so I'm still waiting on my referral from Marty, but I did put what I believe would be the correct wetland setbacks and provisions in here,
Okay.
so. So the first page of the resolution is pretty standard, project description, when we adopted the pre-app report, it was extended. Just so you see, I reference here, by way of history, this property was part of a previous subdivision.
Yes.
And so you had to do a covenant amendment on
do.
this one,
Yeah.
so the few whereases in there, I have the wrong dates and map number, so I'm gonna fix those in there, for the previous subdivision. This was a type 1 action under secret because it's also in the ag overlay district. And we did a coordinated review, and then in April, this board established itself as lead agency and issued a neg deck. We deemed the final application complete and scheduled a hearing, which was held in May. And then we have the findings. Here I just graded out only because I had to put in the actual date and the library and page number for the CNRs for the health department, which I do have. So the health department approved the project with their covenants and restrictions. The pre-app report was approved in 2021 and then subsequently extended to January of this year. Again, type 1 action under secret, and the negative declaration was issued in April. New York State archaeological sensitive area, and we got an archaeological report, but it's not from Tracker Archaeology. It is from Joanne McLean Inc. That's out of Sag Harbor. There's this lady that's doing it out there now. So we had a final hearing in May. It was closed with a 10-day written comment period, and we had some comments. The nature of the wetlands, the easement, the impacts on wetlands, impacts on stormwater, and then again, additional density in lots. These are pretty standard comments we received. 6 is the park fee, which will be a flat fee of $2,500. 7, we're not subject to the Long Island workforce housing. It's only 2 lots. We note that a single common driveway, it should just say a common driveway easement will serve lots 2 and
Right.
1 and 2. The utilities are gonna go directly to the lots outside of that. And 10 just notes, the planning board notes the environmental sensitivity of the property. It is, got over 4 acres of wetlands. But all the wetlands are gonna be incorporated into the open space, and I believe dedicated to the town. Is that the plan, or?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's that. The town engineer provided comments. He says the proposed common driveways encompassed within the 30-foot common. All driveways shown on the plan outside of the easement are not part of the common driveway and shall be removed from the plan. That's pretty standard. The proposed apron on 7 ponds, town road, complete with piping head walls and swale, shall be reviewed directly by the highway department as part of the road opening permit for that lot. So to that point, like I said, we referred it back to the highway department, and McCardle came back just with the one change that he wanted on the one sheet. So I guess to that point, the applicant went back and had the proper engineering plans done that was requested of the prior highway.
But what about engineering? A referral to engineering?
We did it. That's what we're looking at, his
Okay.
comments. He just, in that, as it related to that particular, he punted it sort of to the highway department.
He's reviewing the common driveway, but not the separate access.
Yeah,
which
he's
is
a separate
regular-
entrance, he said would be
regular
subject to highway
driveway.
work permit, and I would, defer to the highway department. And in all fairness, that's what we did the first time around, is that we discussed this with Alex Greger's office, who had,
Right. He
more
was
skin in the
opposed
game
to
as
it,
relates to this,
yeah.
yeah. And then he has his engineering fees, the typical 3-inch rainfall, and then the speedies covenant, all of which have been incorporated. He's not recommending engineering approval, that will come as part of the final process. We have to get final map stamped by the engineer. Conservation Board came back with comments. They talk about the obviously the nature of the wetlands and the ecological importance of the wetlands in and around Mill Pond and Mecox Bay. The 239 referral, which is still pending, but that's accurate. They recommend non-disturbance buffers on lots 1 and 2, which we do in fact have. The subdivision needs to redesign to relocate the proposed driveway for lot 2 to lower 7 Ponds Road. I guess we've had that discussion. We're gonna have a common driveway on lower 7 Ponds, and then that second access if the board's inclined onto the other road. They always recommend conservation easement, the proposed open. We're getting an open space parcel here as opposed to conservation easements. Recommending a native revegetation plan for the areas that are disturbed within the proposed open space area, which I have highlighted here. And then existing fence needs to be removed from the proposed open space parcel along 7 Ponds Town Road. I believe you mentioned that actually too. I haven't been out there a second time, so I have to check, but I put it as a condition.
Yep.
The Office of Fire Prevention said that the site is served by public water and hydrants. I only grayed that out is because I didn't have a Word document to actually copy and paste it in there. So, but this area is served by hydrants. They didn't have any recommendations. Suffolk County Department of Planning said this is a matter for local determination. And then we got that little memo from the Southampton Highway Superintendent. I just got to put in the date. He references a change to sheet, I believe it was like D1, very minor change, and that was his only recommendation. Trails Advisory had no trail implications, which is because of the open space dedication. They had comments previously, but we're getting the space dedicated to the town, so they've eliminated those. We did get comments from the Planning Commission. We didn't get anything from CAC, the Fire District, or the Health Department. That's not uncommon. So the next resolve is to approve the map with certain map changes per the town engineer. Again, for discussion, I didn't know if I saw it on there, the disturbed areas in the open space to be revegetated. What do you know? Do you know anything about what's happening on there? That I'm asking because it's been a long time since the subdivision's been done, so if the area is coming back naturally, maybe
I haven't, Daphne Vaughn, Surfside Environmental Planning for the Rothmans. I haven't been to the site in some time. I believe they were maintaining the edge of the clearing. All of the portions that would be cleared are on Lot 1, the existing developed lot. I would imagine that we could probably solve this with some minimal planting and then letting it kind of come back. Some of that is moss and is not really going to revegetate on its own, so maybe they could plant a couple of trees within some of this area and let the understory kind of do its thing.
Well,
we'd have to get a baseline, I mean, to see
yeah, we could do that. Well,
and what isn't.
not last, obviously I'm still waiting for, my 239 to finalize this thing, which
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna change drastically. So between now and then, I could make that determination. I don't have a problem with, like I just said, for that suggestion, I have no problem with letting things grow back naturally, as long as they're in the process, that's good. So we could probably work with that.
It's not a ton of area, really.
No, it's not, it's largely very wooded.
Anthony, could I go back to the Conservation Board,
Yeah.
their fourth point? The way I'm reading is they're saying that second driveway or that access drive is in the wetlands buffer setbacks.
It would alter an existing drainage swell, is what it says.
Would result in
Yeah.
clearing and land disturbance at less than the required 125 wetland construction, 100 feet wetland buffer setbacks.
So I can address that.
That's been the whole discussion. Well, let Anthony finish the report, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
Anthony?
Okay, yeah, I'll finish this and then we'll go back to that. The postal delivery, house numbers for each lot, I removed the proposed structures and any building envelopes, a map notation regarding covenants and restrictions, and a common driveway easement, a notation regarding compliance with the zoning. I would just note on here, they have the wetland setbacks, 125, 150, but it should just note on there 150, sanitary setback, structural setback, so just to clarify. It's what it's typically done on most wetlands associated permits. Just indicate if the open space is to be dedicated to the town. I don't see that on here, but yeah, so that would be that. And then I had grayed out the access onto Seven Ponds Town Road, discussion. Park fees, $2,500 for the one new lot. I put these two in here, maybe this has been done, and if it has, then we check them off as satisfied, but this is to remove the roadside stockade fence, along Seven Ponds Town Road, and then, actually it should be prior to. And then reduce all fencing along lower Seven Ponds Road to 4 feet in height. And I put that in there. Declaration of covenants and restrictions, the standard, no further subdivision, no lot line changes without planning board approval, all new utilities and utility poles underground for, no new overhead, I should say, for the lots, the 3-inch rainfall, the speedies coverage per the town engineer, the retention of stormwater runoff before, during, and after construction. We note that lots 1 and 2 are subject to a naturally vegetated non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer as shown on the filed map. Lot 2 is subject to a minimum buffer zone of 100 feet prohibiting turf, fertilizers, pesticides. You can see there that it's measured to 100 feet. Lot 2 is subject to a minimum of 125-foot setback for, actually, it's lots 1 and 2. I'm not sure why I didn't say that. These are all applicable to lots 1 and 2.
The 125-foot setback, it's already developed, it wouldn't be subject to that.
I'll rephrase that for the board. The new lot is subject to is subject to a vacant lot setbacks, is what you're saying, Daphne.
Yeah.
And that's true, and lot 1 would be subject to improved lots, which are lesser setbacks, actually. So I will fix that because I didn't distinguish that in here. You're gonna get a revised copy of this, by the way, when we put it back on. Notification of the planning division prior to construction. This is what we normally do for wetlands. Common driveway easement, lots 1 and 2 are subject to a common driveway easement. And then construction of the common driveway for lots 1 and 2 prior to the issuance of any COs. 6 talks about the submission of and approval of a revegetation plan, which again, we'll take a look, see what really is needed. If it's minimum, then we can do the minimum. Submission of a common driveway easement, submission of a title certification, mortgage consent if applicable, town approval of all legal documents, submission of an offer of dedication to the town for the open space and the town board acceptance of that, submission of the Mylars and paper prints for signature by the planning board, and then to be recorded within 62 days of the map.
So, Tom had a question.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Tom, let me,
Going back to the wetlands report.
Page 4, number 4.
Yeah.
The conservation.
Seems to be saying that that second driveway is.
doesn't meet the setbacks.
Right.
That's correct. It doesn't meet the setbacks.
It does, for the most part, it does. There's really only one corner. On the map, there's arcs for each setback. So you can see where it turns there at the property line, around the shed on the neighbor's property. That little section is the only portion that does not meet the full setback.
So, just so the board knows then I would have to put in the resolution, because you're approving a wetlands permit ultimately also. This serves as the wetlands permit for 3 years. Like we would have to put in there that driveway can be located, however many feet from the.
It's not a structural set, we're not creating a structure.
No, it's 82 feet at its closest point.
It's 82 feet, it's its closest point. I believe driveways are all subject to the same setbacks, wetland setbacks as any other structure, but you don't, as the wetlands approving board, you can set the setbacks as deemed necessary. Sometimes you can't meet the setbacks, so.
Typically, you can get a 75-foot setback for a driveway as long as it's pervious.
Right. So would that be you could do pervious driveway.
Absolutely, yes.
That would be in the resolution.
Yeah.
I mean, the need for that second driveway is overwhelming in this location.
So would they have to, let's say the conservation goes back and says it doesn't meet the setback, we don't recommend it. Does that mean the planning board have to override them?
We would have to override it.
You'd have to override them. It'd have to be
I mean, this just seems like an awful lot of
five.
You need an
relief
extra
to give it.
Yeah, so, just think about that.
I do want to
Five.
say, though, if you look at the buffer that's going from the wetland boundary, you can see the arcs there. So the first arc is 75 feet. The second arc is the 100 feet. So typically, it would be a 100-foot buffer. So as you can see, there's that whole triangle there that is in excess of 200 feet from the wetlands on Seven Ponds Town Road. So it's kind of a give and take on the buffer on Lot 2 in that area where it's in excess of what it would normally be. It's more than 100 feet in some portions to kind of make up for the portions of the driveway that are within that setback.
But you're calculating somebody else's property in your mathematics, which we're
No,
not looking at that.
Not at all.
So what arcs are you looking at?
No, the arcs that are there. I'm talking about the triangle, how it comes to a point there at the entrance of the second driveway. You see the arcs? Anthony, can you show?
This one right here.
That's 75. The next one's 100. The next one's 125. And the following one, I believe, is 250.
That's the
Or
200,
the next
200.
one's 150. And then
This
the
is 150, this
following
is
one
two.
is 200. So what I'm saying is that whole triangle of additional buffer beyond 100 feet in that area more than accommodates the portions that are within the 100-foot setback for the actual driveway.
I mean, the reality is, the main driveway is impassable for certain segments of the day. So the second driveway will be used. So it'll either be used with pervious surfaces and the culverts to allow the water, or they're just gonna start using it. I mean, that's a reality. You can't get out the main driveway.
No, and to your point, Dennis, then the key is that we have plans,
Yes.
you know, that engineered, so
Right,
I'm not,
engineered plans,
I'm not.
pervious
Just to-
surfaces, the culvert.
To clarify,
Another point, I'm sorry, I was gonna say a point in your is that right now, if they built the driveway, which they could do,
Yeah.
the highway could approve it, the setback would be 75.
Yeah,
Because it would be considered.
As part of an improved property.
An approved piece of property.
right.
So they could get the wetlands permit administratively for the 75-foot
Right.
setback. Right now, they're proposing 81. So there is an argument that you look at the property as a developed piece of property as it is.
It is.
Yeah,
Good point.
so.
when I was working with Jackie Fenlon on this before she went to community preservation, her and I both met with the highway department at the property and had discussions with them of what they were looking for in the plans, and that was how those plans were developed. So the comments that they have, we can certainly address whatever the one comment that they came back with, and that should be simple. But the purpose of it is to maintain the allowance for the water to flow. That's their main concern for the drainage from the 5 corners that are right there. So we're fine with that.
And and you're saying that this is not going to impact, this driveway is not going to impact that swale or the wetlands?
No, the purpose of the plan is so that they'd be able to pass over the swale with the culvert that would still function for the allowance of the drainage coming from the road that heads actually towards the wetlands that are part of the open space.
So it requires a culvert?
Yes.
It's already there, isn't it?
No.
No.
It's a concrete swale, actually.
Oh, so yeah, there's a concrete, there's
Okay.
something
It's an important
structural, but
swale,
it's a
yes.
concrete swell.
Right.
And
Well,
then that sort of ends, and then it just,
Right.
it's just the grade.
I mean, I personally have trouble with that logic in the sense of to try to eliminate a traffic jam versus the environment
impacting the swale, the wetlands. They knew that when they bought the property. They knew it when they wanted to subdivide the property. We all deal with traffic. Is it seasonal? Is it all year long? That's really not, we're not looking at those issues in a subdivision necessarily.
Traffic?
So, yes, but it also impacts what I consider to be an important environmental issue here, whereby the first highway supervisor said, don't go near it. The new highway supervisor, I'm not quite sure what he said, because he didn't say no, but he didn't say yes. He just requested a revised document in the plan. So, I'm not comfortable with that non-sign-off.
Well, just, if I may, the first highway supervisor had initially said no, and that was where we met his people out there at that time. All of this was done under Alex Greger. So we came to an agreement at the site, because we went there in the field, looked at it together as a group, the planning department, the highway department, and me representing the applicant. And then I conveyed that to the engineer, who did the plans in accordance mainly with what the highway department was seeking.
So Alex Greger then suggested engineering plans for you to use that driveway?
His
To create it?
representatives, yes, 2 of his representatives that I believe are still the people who are reviewing the plans right now.
So he wasn't totally against this, you're saying?
No.
Yeah, I mean, it was an initial, and then it was, you know.
His concern was there's a lot of water that flows.
Yes.
I think it was 7 ponds, that's 7 ponds, that's 8
That's
ponds.
major.
There's a reason why it's 7 Ponds Town Road.
Right.
And his concern was getting that water
Right.
down, continuing the swale. And once it was demonstrated that was achievable, easily achievable, with simple engineering, he was
Well,
comfortable.
I could, you know, because I'll have to revise this anyway, because we gotta address the wetland setbacks and everything, which you have to as part of the permit, just like, you know, the environment division, but, we could set the, you know, mitigation parameters in there, pervious, surface and stuff
Well,
like that,
that's-
which is not currently set in the resolution.
That was my point, because
So
if we
we
don't,
can
the
do all
driveway's
that.
going there anyway. So, it's academic. There's no way out the other way. They're gonna be using that driveway. So do you wanna have pervious surfaces, a regulatory element where you have inspections and the culvert and moving the water, or just let them just run their vehicles across to get out?
Well, what's going to happen with lot 1? What do they use now?
They're gonna use the driveway.
Well, the reality, they'll probably grant a private easement for lot 1. It's a family, I'm assuming it's a
Yes,
family compound.
to
right?
remind the board, yes,
Right,
this
there'll-
right now
there'll
is
be
a
a private
family
easement
property. The
conveyed
whole
to lot
purpose
one
of
to
the
use that also.
subdivision is to provide a secondary lot for their children in the future, so they can build a second house
Yeah.
for their family.
So what I think, if I understand what Dennis is saying correctly, it might be expected that the folks in Lot 2 are going to allow the people in Lot 1 to now go across the back end and use that driveway also.
I would imagine if it's part of the family. I don't know that that would happen if it's not part of the
And
family.
that's not, I mean, it's not part of the plan, but it might be a
Right.
very real expectation.
We should provide, yeah.
To some of the board members that have been here longer than me, I don't, since I've been here, I don't think we've approved 2 driveways for a property. Maybe we have sometime in the past, and I'm certainly empathetic to the backup at that intersection and a lot of other intersections in the town. And in my old job, used to get a lot of calls from people that couldn't get out of their driveways. Lumber Lane being one of them.
Yes.
This is the problem of being overbuilt for the
Yeah.
streets
Right.
and roads where
Right.
we live
No,
on.
I don't know what the perfect answer is here, but I guess my question may be have we done this before? In what circumstances do we allow property owners to have 2 driveways?
They have to.
Well, they have the common driveway to get out onto that road. I remember when you and Jackie were working on this a long time ago.
Yeah.
And Jackie was pleading the case of this family. And we had big discussions about the environmental impact
yeah.
on this swale.
We've spent
Then,
hours
hours.
on this application.
And
you know, I certainly was not satisfied. In any event, that, I've said what I have to say, so let's move forward. Where are we with this?
So that was the draft resolution.
I just have one more thing to say, that during the summer, I did correspond with Anthony regarding the fence along Seven Ponds Town, and he did let me know that they could have it removed this summer. So when my clients were here, they did have a landscaper come and take out all of the dilapidated portions of the fence along the property line. I did go out and take a bunch of photos. I can submit that to the record. I don't know that I did. I think I was waiting for this day to come and never actually printed them. So I can certainly submit that.
This vast tract of wetlands north of your critical property is privately held. As part of this simple two-lot subdivision, that entire tract is going to now be transferred to public, incredible environmental benefit.
Yeah, but they can't build on it anyway. I mean.
They can't, but it's privately held.
Well, they're not gonna, can't do anything with it.
They can't legally, but
No, and
there's
they-
opportunity for mischief. When you have
There's-
private,
there's
you know,
oppor-
open space and private property, there's no way to, you know.
There's opportunity to mischief even in a fully regulated lot.
Well, it's much,
Any-
much higher burden. But
What do you want to do, Anthony? You're
Well,
still waiting for.
can we put this back on for January 11th?
Yeah,
Because I got,
because you're waiting for the conservation board.
conservation, so I could, the resolution was largely done, we'll tidy it up like I'm supposed to, and I'll get it to you.
Get some engineering
Yeah.
comments.
Can I just ask one question? There's a park fee even with the open space dedication?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice try, though.
Okay.
I've heard both sides of that
All right,
argument.
so we're just gonna do an
Yeah.
extension until January 11th.
Extension to January 11th. Motion
Oh.
by Dennis, second by Craig, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, the extension, 6 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you.
Let me just-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy
Anthony,
holidays.
what have you got now? Uniform
21
extension?
Columbia Inc., is that 18?
Number 19.
Number 19, this was I say 6 or 7 lot subdivision because we'll see how the pre-application process goes. You know, there's always health department issues and this, that, and the other thing, the affordable housing component. This is on Columbia Avenue, this is in West Hampton. It involves 2 properties, this larger property, which is technically landlocked, but they also own the front piece here, which is what fronts on Columbia, so that's how the access would be done. They're providing a yield map. This yield map, it's R40 zoning district. So this yield map actually shows 6 lots with 60,000 square feet each. And they're showing it like that because they're shown as flag lots. And you know, they do show though a road with, you know, technically a cul-de-sac. So my guess is that you may see because this is going to be a pre-app, preliminary final situation. My guess is preliminary, you could see an extra lot come out of this as a result. I don't know.
Why aren't they just showing a road? Why is the flag lot?
That is probably just a, you know, who knows? Well, they do show, like I see, they've outlined, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they have the 50 foot.
Yeah, they have the 50 foot there.
Well, they can submit whatever they want. I mean, this is.
It's the pre-application.
Right.
They had submitted something else recently. I was just trying to get them through the process so I can get them to a point where I can make comments on it.
Did they submit a cluster?
Yep. Just so you know, they submitted 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If they, assuming a 6 lot yield, then they showed a 7 lot plan, the 10% increase in density for Long Island workforce housing. Again, they show it as all flag lots, but we probably couldn't do that design like that. The code really doesn't allow for it. So these are the issues that we could outline in the pre-app. And then they do also show a 7 lot plan, and they show open space here, a chunk of open space. The property isn't adjacent to any other open space, so there would be nowhere to locate it that it would join it. So that's an issue that we.
And that's R40 zoning?
I believe it is R40.
It says
It's
R40.
R40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because all those lots on Columbia Drive, they're pretty small lots.
Yeah.
Old file maps relative to that, so I'm just surprised it's
Yeah.
R40.
Yeah, well, that's why cluster plan, you'll get smaller lots that are
Yeah.
probably more consistent with.
Can you zoom in just a little bit, Anthony?
What's that?
Can you zoom in just a little bit?
The aerial?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the open space doesn't make any sense.
No, there's nothing.
No, I mean, they submitted, that was one of the completeness
In the
issues.
middle of it.
They
yeah.
submitted it, and I have met with the applicant. Look, when we do our pre-app report, we're gonna look at the cluster plan. We'll look like I normally do, see, can we accomplish what you want? With easements and buffers, for example. There may be alternatives to an open space plan, you know, if it gets dedicated to the town.
Why would the town take that?
I understand. That just, the code requires the submission of a cluster plan, the
Yeah.
planning board asked for one, so, you know, that's why we got it. But at this stage of the game, I'm not, you know, it's not perfect, but, you know, the question is, do we have enough information that we can provide a good report and some direction for the applicant? And I think we do at this point. And so I recommend
So you're
complete
deeming it
and
complete?
scheduling for February
This is pre-application?
pre-application.
Is that, okay, the 8th?
Yeah, February 8th.
Okay, motion to deem it complete and set a hearing for
Motion.
Feb. 8. Motion by George, second by
Second.
I'm gonna do that.
Gloria. All in, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
And then 64 Lewis Road, another application I've taken over for another planner that was here. It's called 66 Lewis Road, the address is actually 64 Lewis Road, it's got an existing residence on there. It's in the aquifer protection, agricultural overlay district in the Central Pine Barrens. That was previously deemed incomplete, we have an application to create, 1, 2, 3 lots. The previous application was deemed incomplete. There was just some minor mapping stuff that was missing. I didn't review this one actually, so it wasn't my checklist. They have subsequently submitted a revised plan. Also, there's an adjacent scenic easement here, which was missing from the plan, so that was one of the items. So, in any case, they've submitted all the information. I'm also recommending deeming this complete and scheduling for February 8th.
Okay, motion
Motion.
by Gloria,
Second.
second by Craig, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
And then 204 Butter WB. This is you all know this is the Butter Lane Physical Fitness Facility, the
Yeah.
existing
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
We previously deemed this one incomplete. I was missing a few things. They've given it to me. In this case, we had a hearing, pre-submission. We had a hearing at the zoning board, so I'd recommend deeming it complete and waiving a hearing with a 30-day. There's no new construction here, so.
So complete and 30 days.
Yeah.
Okay, motion?
Motion.
Motion by Gloria, second by Dennis, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. 6 in favor,
Right.
1
We'll
absent.
gear up for our first marijuana public hearing tonight.
Canvas.
Sorry, that's right, cannabis here.
Did,
I don't think so.
Anthony, are you going to give me something that you
That's
said?
what I'm going
He's
to
gonna
start
go
working on.
through that.
Okay, and you'll take a look at it. Wave,
Oh, we'd be going back?
So I'm gonna try and do my stuff.
oh, where are you? Oh, okay, sorry.
Number 17?
Yes,
Number 17.
So number 17 is 251 Majors Path. This is a commercial site, which contains gas fueling station, a large oil tank here. You can see it. It's actually very large, large enough that you can actually walk into. And what they're looking to do is actually demolish all the existing structures and create a subdivision of 4 lots. Let me just look at them. So that's the subdivision, that's the survey.
so
and
it's an
then
R20.
it's an R20.
Hmm.
This is the yield map. They can get up to 6 lots, and this is their preferred plan with a common driveway, which there's some issues with that, but we'll proceed with that. However, there's some information that is needed in order for us to proceed with the application and review, so we're asking that you deem it incomplete. And you have the resolution in front of you to deem the application incomplete until such time as we receive the items on the draft checklist, which I have if you want to see that as well.
Have they submitted an environmental audit Teresa?
They did actually submit an environmental audit, and there were a couple of groundwater tests that came up pretty high above the standards. So
Yeah.
that will have to be part of the remediation.
That thing's been a fuel depot forever. That was the SA oil, facility.
Yeah, it's kind of a mess.
Mess.
Yeah,
looks
to
it.
put it nicely.
Yep, well, back then, it was North Sea.
Yeah. Okay, motion
Motion.
to deem this incomplete by George, second by Gloria, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent. 215 East Montauk Highway.
Yes, this was a subdivision application. The action deadline is supposed to be today. However, we received an email from the applicant's agent dated November 29th, and they asked that it be postponed, enacting on the report until January. So it's an extension.
January
11.
11th.
Correct.
Okay, extension to January 11th. Motion by Gloria, second by Craig, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor.
Teresa?
Thanks,
One more
Teresa.
item about that 251, that's one of the few areas north of the highway where our zoning, I don't know if they comply with the groundwater health department zone, that density.
Oh, yeah, double check if it's, groundwater emergency zone 5.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cause that would be
there are
1
a few
acre
areas,
versus a half an
it's
acre.
all
Yep.
typically north of Southampton Village, there's a
Yep.
few spots of Bridgehampton.
Yep,
Okay,
Good
thank
point.
you.
Okay,
Kalea.
my first one is Rhoda.
Rhoda.
And Steve Kiley is on, Kevin, Zoom.
Oh, okay.
And this is a request, so if you recall, Rhoda was a pre-app report for a two-lot subdivision. Please. I'm just gonna give you a background.
Yeah.
We'll jump in.
Which
Um,
where is it on the list?
Number
15.
Number 15.
page 5.
Thank you.
And so this is his proposal. So it was a two-lot subdivision over a flag lot. There's a lot of public interests. Playgrounds.
This is the one
Yeah.
where, yeah.
oh boy,
Yep.
Oh, yes,
a
yes.
very
Yeah.
spirited
The
public
town
hearing.
owned,
Yes,
everybody
yes.
has a
A
way.
landlocked piece, yep.
Everybody has a lawyer.
And now we have to call it.
So
No,
Is that you?
not involved.
Steve Kiley. Over our heads.
Oh, yeah, I remember this one.
Yeah.
So what happened is that they've been in negotiations with CPF to purchase the second lot as an open space parcel. So there would be only one lot for developments created. And that would be through a waiver provision of 330, I think it's 44. 292-44, which allows for a waiver to allow the second lot to be purchased or donated to Nature Conservancy. You know, there's a lot of them be done, but one of them the CPF. So that would be creating the lot as you see adjacent to other lots and creating the open space, which would be adjacent to an open space parcel to the north. Why don't I pull it up
Pull it up, right.
on the area for you?
Claire, is this application contingent on the CPF purchase?
The subdivision contingent, they would create a second lot and yes, it could be yes. Oh, it has to be. It has to be purchased. Yeah, it has to be, yes. They couldn't create the lot and then say, as you see, it's gonna be referenced as open space. That will be the plan that you stamp as a waiver.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they have this strip.
Is it customary to be at this phase in an application without the CPF purchase being finalized?
This doesn't happen that commonly,
Yeah.
but there's nothing wrong with it
Okay,
per se, but it's just, you haven't seen it a lot, because they don't happen a lot.
okay.
And then, yes, do you want the applicant to speak and identify himself?
I was just asking counsel, that's all.
Can you give us your name for the record, please, Mr. Kiley?
Sure, Stephen Kiley for the applicant.
Can you increase your audio?
Let me try moving it closer.
There you go, that's
Perfect.
better.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes,
Yes.
much.
Okay, thank you. So, again, I'm here this afternoon, now almost evening, to seek a section 292-44B1 waiver for my client. And that section states that the planning board shall waive the One is create no more than 2 lots. 2, the lots have to conform to zoning. And 3, 1 lot has to be acquired by the town for open space. Here, the subdivision proposed will in fact create 2 lots, as you can see, conform fully to the CR80 zoning requirements. For example, both lots have at least 80,000 square feet. And as far as the third one, a lot being acquired by the town for open space, we are currently in contract with the town to sell the resultant lot for open space. And in fact, it would be one of the last pieces to create a trail system from Deerfield to Little Noyak Path. And we also already had the requisite public hearing for the purchase, and there was no opposition. And I just want to bring your attention to a couple things. In the 2021 CPF project plan, it lists aggregation of greenbelt areas as a major priority. So as you can see, there's already an easement on the rear of the property that adjoins a piece of property that the town of Southampton owns in open space, and it adjoins to the north another major tract of land owned by the town. So that's how this aggregation is going to occur, again, to have a trail from Little Noyak Path all the way to Deerfield. And then if you also look at chapter 5 of the comprehensive plan, it's entitled Community Enhancements. The top goal of that chapter is creation of greenways, and this will effectuate that goal. So the waiver is actually the last step to close, and I believe that we meet the requirements for that waiver.
Maybe Claire can show us the access on the map. Can you trace the access, Claire?
So
For
this,
this parcel?
this easement.
Light blue?
Yeah,
It's
so
an
this is
easement?
provide, no, it's a lot, it is part of this lot, but it's, it is going to be the access for this parcel. And then it's gonna go down, and then this will also be a smaller access for the town parcel for this area. and
Yeah,
the
so
trail.
that pole is about 25 feet right now. So we would divide it 15 feet to service my client's lot and 10 feet to service as a trail for the open space. So it would be split.
So that that showed in blue there is a current flag to the existing lot.
In the existing.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
It is the current flag for the existing lots, the blue, on the area. I don't know if you see it.
Unfortunately, for some reason, I can't see what you're looking at.
That's okay,
But
it
yeah.
is the flag for the lot.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just
you can
clarifying
see it
that.
on the plan, yeah.
I don't know if we want to create a 15-foot dog leg that long, but that's a discussion we can have when we divide it.
You'd be giving a waiver,
Is part of that dog leg going to the town as well?
yes.
Through an easement.
Through
You want a
part of it
15,
and an
you want a
easement.
15-foot drive, how long is that dog leg to the property?
Pretty long.
After a heavy snowfall to get emergency equipment, 2 vehicles passing?
500.
You want
Well, there wouldn't
15?
be 2 vehicles. The pole for the green space is only gonna be for foot traffic.
I know, but I mean, you could get pretty trail corridors, you don't need 10-foot, I mean, it's ideal to have 10-foot, but,
Oh, yeah, no, we're open to make
Yeah.
it larger.
I'd rather see 20 than 5.
I think it's gonna be, I'm gonna suggest it be 20,
Yeah,
and that the town has 5, and the town has a 5-foot
Easement over the
to allow the
Yeah.
trail.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That makes better
That,
sense.
that lot will be completely conforming in terms of access.
Okay.
A 5-foot
better.
trail
Yeah.
doesn't exist. There's
yeah,
no,
plus 20 makes it conforming.
Yeah.
Excuse me, 20 would make it conforming as well.
Right, good, yeah. So Steve, we'll talk about that, but if you're prepared for that, that's how
Yeah.
it
That's better.
I looked
No,
at it, I agree.
absolutely, that
Yeah.
makes total sense.
Okay, great.
So what is our action here, Claire?
No, there's no action
No
yet.
action.
We wanted to review it with you. It is it's your waiver to grant, but it does say if you meet their criteria, you shall do it. So there's no referrals, there's nothing. You're granting a waiver, and then at the end of the day, the secretary does stamp a plan. But it'll be very important that that lot will be flagged as an open space parcel that will be purchased by the town.
Okay.
Yep.
Are we doing
Yeah,
that
for
just
some,
now?
for some reason, I don't know
No.
why it changed, but
Discuss.
we were supposed to get an acquisition resolution issued by the town board after the public hearing, subject to your waiver and other requirements, but they wanted to make sure that, I guess, you were fine with it. But again, since I meet, the 3 requirements, it does say shall. And, again, this is gonna go a long way to create a vast green belt, for the town, for the residents to utilize.
I did review it with Jackie Fenlon today too, and this is totally in line with what she's been proposing for the CPA.
Claire, I'm
Yep.
kind of confused, because what you passed out to me, I'm looking at 3 parcels that are all identified as Lot 1, and 2 of them say that there's houses and wells on
It's
them.
not these.
Those are existing.
Those are existing.
It's this. This is lot 1, this is lot 2. This is the subdivision.
That's part of the overall subdivision. She's
Yeah.
confusing the other, there's a
Yeah,
smaller lot
yeah.
one.
These
This
two
is the
That was the
one
old-
parcel. This is what we're saying.
That was the old lot 1 of the subdivision.
And so this is gonna come all the way in. all
Oh,
the way
okay.
down. Access to this lot 1, and then this is the open space. And this road's gonna be divided between the town, trails, get 5 feet, and then the rest will go to the access.
You can't walk on 5 feet.
It's gonna be 10.
Right.
The trail will be 10 feet. It'll have a 5-foot easement, that's my suggestion, onto their 20-foot driveway. But they will have the 15 feet at least to build on, and then, but they will own 20, which is legal. That's conforming.
So they're not going to be able to vegetate at all on the driveway.
Well,
I think not.
As somebody that's a hiker, this does not seem,
it's gonna be referred to trails.
yes, so I will.
It's gonna be referred to trails in that form which we're saying, which is 20 feet with the 10-foot, making it whole to the 10-foot for the easement.
Ideally, the client would want a small buffer between the trail and the driveway, absolutely, and keep it wooded.
No, we're not referring it, CPF is gonna refer it. This is their baby.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna have them refer it to it.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I'm cautionally question.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 feet.
No, it's good, that's good, these are good questions, good questions. So it's gonna be referred to trails before CPF does their action. Okay, so, if everything is going well, you'll see it probably January 11th or 25th.
Thanks, Lou.
Okay,
For a
thank
waiver.
you. Thank you, Carol.
All right, and thank you for accommodating me while you do, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
No problem.
Bye. Loaves and fishes, Claire?
So this is before the zoning board of appeals. I have draft documents for you. You have your assumed lead agency, and this is for secret purposes.
So we're assuming leaving.
Well, that's definitely, and then I'm suggesting secret. I'm gonna take the last one, sorry.
No.
This is for you.
You've done your referrals.
Ooh, the ZBA referred it to us.
Yeah, we did the referral.
Yeah, and the ZBA relinquished lead agency on the 16th, and so there will be 2 actions we could put in one resolution if you consider it, and that would be to assume a lead agency, and if you're fine with the neg deck, we would assume adopt the neg deck in this case.
So there's a request
Regarding what?
to relief granting of parking variance permitting.
So, Carl, do you want to just explain your letter that you submitted?
Sure. Good evening, members of the board.
Steve, Carl Bonacasa, 860 Montauk Highway for the applicant. One of our neighbors, who is represented by council here today, has asked us to submit to the zoning board an alternative application, not withdraw the one we have, but as an alternative, the removal of the northernmost 7 spots. I'm not sure if you have the site plan.
I have it, hold up, and I have copies too.
So if Claire can zoom in a bit.
Those 7 up above, yeah.
So a parking variance
These ones
to
up here.
remove
Is that?
those 7 spots.
Right.
The applicant has no objection to that, but we would like, obviously the board to consider our primary ask for relief, but this in the alternative, which would accommodate all the concerns of the neighbors. So as part of that, we submitted a letter to Claire because rather than delay the process further, we'd like you to consider that alternative application as part of your secret determination today, and perhaps offer referral comments on that as well, as that has not been presented to the board yet. We have discussed with counsel for the board. She believes that the application is adequately noticed for us to simply ask for this additional relief without renoticing. But obviously, they're gonna want your input on removal of those 7 spaces, and that should be factored into your secret determination. So with that, I'd ask you consider what was agended for today in light of that alternative proposal, and perhaps if you have any comments that Claire, include them as a referral.
Well, those were the 7 spaces that I had issue with to begin with.
What does that do to how many spots do we need versus?
Yeah.
38 are required. 2 are now being waived through your provision of providing cross-access between this property and the adjacent property. So it's 36. So this would be down to 29. Related to the uses on the property. You know, obviously there's a shared parking agreements between the 2 sites as it is.
Right.
So.
Was that taken into consideration when the calculation was made initially?
The shared parking, that's more based on, if it was shared parking, you'd probably want some kind of analysis about the use if you were to base it on that. But I would say that your cross-access could allow you for more than the 2 spaces that are being waived right now. I don't have a calculation on that, but there could be some more leeway with the 7 spaces. But what he's asking for you right this second, which is kind of like not with a lot of information, is for, would you support a variance to eliminate the requirement for those 7 spaces? with the ZBA?
So it creates a wider exit path, is that correct?
No,
No.
the
We just
northernmost
lop,
7.
just lop the 7 spaces
Yeah.
off.
There's no exit up there.
Take the
No,
spaces
but
away
you-
close.
Oh, the
You
circular,
have to
the
go around
circulatory,
circulation, that's
yes,
what I'm talking
it would
about.
create, I
Right.
suppose, a wider circulation.
Right. And what about that buffer? I mean, you were going to have would you augment the buffer then between,
Well, we would plant it in line with the code standards, sure.
yeah. Because I think we had certainly,
What?
I'd mentioned
Can
an
you zoom in
increased
on
buffer.
that?
Yep. Do you want a copy? I think I have.
No,
it.
that's okay, you can just
Okay.
put, I mean,
If you could,
yeah,
I'll
what's-
remind the board, just so for context, this site plan, there was a site plan approved on this lot with actually, I think it was 21 spaces
Can you see
lining
that
the
back?
entire northern section.
Oh, I remember that.
It was a
Yeah.
different animal though.
So this would be about 45 feet then, right? If they know, so this is
thank you
20
for making that
plus
bigger.
15, 20 plus 15, 35. 35 for setback.
I can't say exactly, I would want the architect
Yeah,
to
rough-
weigh in. but
It's roughly
yeah.
35 feet that would be achieved.
Right,
33.
but I think it creates an augmented planted buffer between this development and the driveway and that property that's on the other side. Think it can achieve that?
But wasn't the plan still to plant a line of,
Two
evergreens?
lines of,
Two lines of
lines.
evergreens along there, you're
Yes.
not looking to, I mean,
and then I'll remind you that
there's a fence.
there's a fence, and then there's a flagpole driveway,
Mhm.
and then
So, I mean, there's already a lot of, I mean, what are we giving up in terms of providing a development a site with 7 less spaces for, the same, pretty much the same amount of vegetation and you know, the same sort of vegetative buffer that we have. I mean, I'm just raising it as an issue.
Well,
It's 7 spaces left, where
I
are
look-
people gonna park?
I
Is
look
it-
at it as circulation,
But that doesn't affect the circulation, though, Jack. You still have to come around this way and come down through. It's not really improving the circulation in the parking, in the space.
Well, you've gotta get out to, Butter Lane, right?
Yeah, but
You
Oh,
have to-
yeah,
but
so you're
that's-
still
but that's
having
below.
Come
this.
down all this way.
This
and
is all
go up.
happening,
It doesn't do anything with circulation. to
and then
get
it's
out.
connecting here.
Yeah.
And it's, just refresh my memory, it's there's a house, and then there's
A
retail.
single-family residence there, and then
Right.
2 retail,
Retail.
yes, each with 2 units.
Go back up to the house, Claire.
Yeah. So this has been redesigned since even your pre-submission that was issued. Initially, it still had the parking here, and through, I think, negotiations or just consideration, they've created more of open space here than the house, and then the parking kind of was, relocated to this area in between, and this is the connection now.
The parking for the house is where?
It could be here,
It's all shared.
obviously there's a drop-off,
It's all,
porta
they're all,
cochere, you could
it's all
park there.
amalgamated or amalgamated.
There's no,
It's
there's
all-
no specific parking,
Yeah.
says X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Nothing assigned.
Right.
I will say those spaces are a pretty long walk from the retail stores, I assume that will kind of be where the people that live in the house would park, but.
People.
Yeah, I just assumed that
people park Where
those,
to find a spot.
I mean, practically speaking, those are gonna be the last 7 spaces taken on this lot. Meaning, if anything else is available, that's where people are gonna park.
No, I thought it was office space, it's retail?
Retail
retail.
slash office.
Right.
It's
When
same
you
parking
last
lot.
approved
front
it, it
buildings
was a
are-
restaurant with apartments above.
That's an
Yes.
old.
That's the old, but
Yes.
Are there
That's
any
the
par-
old.
Are there any apartments above the?
No.
No?
So this has reduced
They're
septic,
small, they're like 2,000
reduced
square feet.
parking, reduced traffic, and you neg-decked the last one.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the other thing, I just did some quick numbers. So, as I said, the cross-access, 2 spaces were being waived because of the cross-access. Well, just even looking at these 2 square footages, I did a quick number, they're about 1,000 square feet apiece, and if you use the number, which is divided by 200, you would get 5 spaces each. That would, besides the 2 that you're granting, the 7 could be waived.
Mhm.
You could grant the you could waive it
Without
Just
going to
in
the
site
ZBA?
plan review.
without the ZBA.
Just in site plan review.
I'm not
Just in
sure,
site plan
I'm not
review.
sure what you were
Yeah,
coming
if-
at.
So cross-access, which provides access for public, public access, not
Mhm.
just your own private property, can be used under 330-100C, which was the waiver that was being granted for the 2 spaces. But that area actually can accommodate up to 10 spaces.
What area?
Um,
I'm sorry.
These 2 pros cross-access easements, generally speaking, add up to 2,000.
So we should get more credit for it.
You could get more credit if the planning board, now, if
And
the
mo-
planning board makes that determination,
And more parking space. no?
and you could waive up to the, 9,
Mhm.
so the 9 could cover it, the 10, it's up to 10.
I think it makes for a better plan,
Yeah.
personally.
So how do we proceed? Because we could easily amend our relief requested, which it would just be minor dimensional relief for the
It
southern
would be
structures.
the 30, yeah, you'd be doing 35 feet setback. So provide a new plan, we could do it on the 11th.
Do we need to provide a new plan?
Well, to the
Yeah, you
ZBA,
do,
you will.
Eliminate
sure.
To the
Wait.
ZBA,
Eliminate those
yes.
spaces.
No, we wouldn't have to give them a new plan, we'd just withdraw the relief requests, and then they wouldn't even weigh in on that.
I think,
Yeah, for the
I'm sorry, I think
ZBA.
you're
For
still
the
asking.
ZBA.
I think you're still asking from 50 to 15, right? You'd be asking from 50 to 35,
That's a
am I
15,
mistaken?
50 to 30, we would still, yes, you're right.
You
We
still
would still
need the
relief.
setback relief,
Yes,
it's,
we-
15 feet, but that's minor,
Yeah, we would still need the setback.
yeah.
You're right, yes.
So this had the cross-access in 2 spots?
2 spots
Both sides
here,
of
but
it.
it's also here. So they're gonna have to,
That's
you know, at the
great.
end of the day, you're gonna have a site plan that shows it here. That's just not being asked to give relief, but it will be cross-access with a formal
Sure.
easement.
So The question is, whatever the speediest way to get there is, how can we be assured that we would grant, that we wouldn't face roadblocks later down the road if this board wouldn't grant that?
Well, we
Well, we
would
have the
support it.
minutes
We
of the
support
meeting.
that goal.
with some information in it, right?
That would be enough, yeah.
Yeah.
We have the minutes of this meeting, Carl.
Yes.
The board's acceptable to it, right?
Can I get
Does
a,
that sound
can I get a
reasonable?
roll vote, please?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Haven't you seen a checklist?
So what are we doing, Claire?
So we
We're
could do
assuming lead
this.
agency?
Yeah, we could definitely assume lead agency. Do you want to do it as a separate resolution? I had one doing both, that and neg deck, but it's up to you.
Well, we haven't reviewed the,
No, you haven't reviewed it yet, so I know, and it's a long day.
I know.
So let's assume lead agency.
When I looked at it online,
Uh-huh.
it looked like you had some stuff marked yes in the overall,
Mm-hmm.
but then there was nothing identified within.
Yes, and I fixed that, and that's the new documents you have,
Okay.
have it all answered with some verbiage at the ends. If you,
So I haven't seen it.
So let's
Yeah.
hang on to this.
you can assume lead agency today.
Mm-hmm.
We can bring this back up on the 11th, and we could do a neg deck if we have a plan with, maybe even with
Yeah.
the waivers. Waiver talked about there, and I can work with you on the language.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
And then you could actually then issue reports saying planning board's prepared to waive the 7 spaces to the north, a variance of 35 feet would be necessary-ish instead
And we'll
of 50.
submit the I think we're before the ZBA again the following Thursday?
I thought it was the second meeting in January, but I might be mistaken on that.
So we'd be before that.
As long as you're before that, yes.
We would be the 11th.
We were the 11th.
So we'd
Okay?
assume lead agency and do secret at the next one.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
so
it.
motion to assume lead agency on Loaves and Fishes. Motion by Tom, second by Dennis, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
And I'll have the secret documents for you.
Perfect.
Yep,
That's
that'd be
good.
great. Thank
Good
you.
girl.
Thank you, Claire. That was a great
Yeah.
find.
Good
I
thought.
I
think
did a
it's
little
win-win
planning
for
there.
everybody.
That's weird.
Good thinking.
Thank you, everybody. I'll
Thank
see
you.
you tonight.
Happy holiday.
Actually, I'm not going anywhere at this point, so I'll see you in a half hour.
So I have.
Oh, you're the other, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the sacrificial lamb.
Short straw.
Do you want to do the Wave Center with Seth, and I'm here to assist?
Yeah.
That's a completeness item.
Wave Center for Veterinarian, it's the one on,
Yeah, might as well
27.
give it a shot.
Right.
I'll make it quick.
It's right near Hampton Dog.
Oh, dog
Yeah, I've been
is-
working on the two
dog is in
veterinary
there.
services. They got a little confusing.
this one is where there is,
This is in,
furniture store.
Okay, I'm
in
sorry.
for completeness. This is Wave Center.
Oh,
Wave
yeah.
Center.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is the former Ethan Allen.
yeah.
Yep.
They have a sign up.
Oh, you can put, you can go to the GIS, yeah.
Yep. All right.
And that's just at the property, so it's the front building here, and the whole space would be used for a vet office.
Jackie, is it coming to have his finisher yesterday, right? Cake with us. You want that? Absolutely.
So this was deemed incomplete on November 9th. Since then, we have received the variance. Variance has been granted by the ZBA. So they were granted a front yard setback of 39.7 where 50 was required, a side on the north side of 10.5 where 50 was required, and on the south side 34.9. Type 2 action, it's an interior renovate or remodel. There are 3 other, on this site, there's also a cell phone tower and a contractor storage facility.
In the rear.
But otherwise, it is just the existing building being renovated, and the planning division deems it complete, or would like to deem it complete with your approval.
And we set a public hearing.
Yeah, this one, okay, this one, because I'm very anxious to open again for the summer.
Could we sneak this on the 25th? It would be the 5th item, but this, I think, will have no public
I
comments.
don't
There's
think
been no
so.
public comments to date, so
Okay,
we'll put them on first. I think it'd be a open close. Now,
so
encourage
complete
the applicant not to speak.
Feb. 8th
For actually January 25th, if
25th.
you're acceptable.
or January 25th?
That would be 5 items, so I don't want to overwhelm you, but I think this would be an easy one. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so,
Okay,
January
no
25th.
issues?
that was,
So
yeah, they
motion
gave me
to-
a real
Motion.
easy one.
Motion by Dennis to deem this complete and set a public hearing for January 25th.
Motion.
Motion by Dennis, second by Gloria.
The rest of these are extensions?
There's several
All in
extensions.
favor?
6 in favor, 1
Aye.
absent.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Okay.
I hope, we never asked what's in those cookies, given the upcoming application. Are we being somehow prepped here?
They're not from
Our
Carl.
attitude adjustment cookies?
I'll be really on that, able to hear you.
If Carl brought
You're
us
wolfing
coffee,
down these
You
cookies.
should
We'd
bring,
have to learn.
bringing samples tonight.
So the next items, there are a series of extensions. So
Let's
I'll just
do 'em.
explain them.
East
Rock and roll.
Quogue.
Yes, it's a 90-day extension for the submission of plans.
Motion.
Do we have a date?
90 days.
What
So,
application? Excuse me.
Number
what
23,
What's the name of
East
the
Quogue
application?
Mobile Home Park.
Okay, thank you.
And then it'd be 90 days, and that would be March 14th,
March,
2020.
14?
March 14. Motion
Motion.
by Dennis, second by
Second.
Gloria, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent. Number 24, Blessing Fields.
Blessings Fields is a 1-month extension until January 11th for the action deadline.
To Jan 11. Motion
Motion.
by Gloria, second
Second.
by Dennis, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
720.
Number 25, 720 Butter Lane.
Extension for 90 days for the submission of plans.
Extension 90 days, so that goes to March 14th.
Yep.
Okay, motion?
Motion.
Motion by Craig, second by Gloria. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor, 1 absent.
And Puccio.
Puccio, number
Laundromat,
26,
January 11th, 2024.
extension to January 11. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by George, second by
Second.
Craig, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor, 1 absent. We've done it.
I think
We're
we're
done.
done.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
20 what?
Second.
For 2 minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We adjourned?
Yes, we are, oh,
204
motion
butter.
to adjourn. Second by Gloria, all in
21.
favor.
It was 21 on
Opposed,
this
abstentions,
today.
6 in favor, 1 absent.
204 butter, I have.